Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, Certified Brewhead.
And I am Nathan from Nathan Does Beer.
And welcome to episode 7 of the Business of Beer here in BAOS. Nathaniel, this is potentially a podcast first period tonight, would you say? As far as
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, we're this is a super fun one. I have a good friend, by the way, my friend Dan in Vancouver, who's always wanted me to do content about glassware. And, I'm talking since 2017. I never really did, but tonight, goddamn it, we're changing that.
And I'm very excited for that because, as you know, I'm very much a glassware enthusiast, and what we've added on tonight is going to have my collection overflowing, which is a good problem to have for me.
The best possible problem. We have a spectacular pairing of guests, and we're going to be diving deep into the world of glassware, how it can be used, how it's made, and where it's sourced, and why glasses are made for specific beer styles. We're going to get into all of that stuff and get super nerdy about it. So I'm personally super excited. Obviously, Nate is bursting at the seams. So let me get this right, Nate. Let's see if we can do this smooth. Can I do it smooth, you reckon? You have faith?
Here we go.
All right, let's try it.
You got it.
All right, wait. I got this here. I'm going to do it good. All right, guys, please welcome Dan from Zenan and Adin from Henderson in the building.
Yeah.
Look at that. Boys, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
And great to have you here for the first time, Dan. Very cool. Thank you both for taking the time to do this. And Dan, you went over and above, brother. You went in.
Well, I'm honored, first of all, 3 legends of the Canadian craft beer industry. So just being on here with you guys for me is great. And yeah, I figured I would try to do something maybe you guys haven't had before. So I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, I just wanted to make this one special.
Oh man, did you ever? It's so cool. I gave one of them a bit of a test run last night, and it's huge. I'm very excited to get into this. So we'll be drinking a fantastic run of Henderson beers as curated by the Lord Adin right here. And I haven't had this one yet, so I'm excited to try this. Let's kick off with this bad boy, the Rush Canadian Light Lager.
Yeah. So, boys, welcome. I'm very happy to be back. I can't even say first time caller, long time listener anymore. And I made myself a few promises before I hopped on the show. One is that I won't get too hammered because I got to work tomorrow, and 2 is I won't wake up saying, "Oh God, did I say something dumb?" as I listen to it. So this is what I am drinking right now. This is Rush Light Lager, so this is hitting LCBO shelves as we speak, and really, it's the perfect beer for the Rush fan. So it's a 4.1%. Canadian lager, still got a touch of rye. It sat in tank for about 7 weeks, and I'm gonna let you taste it. I mean, I think I gave some to Mr. Beaumont, who wrote a nice review. But really, the proof is in the pudding. I get shit on from my team all the time for mixing my sentences. The other sentence I said the other day was, "All right, guys, it's time to shit or get off the bus," which doesn't really make any sense. So I'm glad I got that. But enjoy. I will say I'll let Dan talk about the glass, but for this glass in particular, unlike everything else we've ever done, I was less about the style of beer and more about the Rush fan in general. So it was about something that's a collector item for them. In our industry, this would be kind of known as the Woodhouse glass. I think Graham, who deserves a tip of the cap for really being one of the first guys to take on social media and put the risk of his last name on the beer. He kind of used this glass, but it's a can. It's not exactly, obviously, the 473. But Zenan yet again did a phenomenal job, and I'll talk about Henderson's relationship with Zenan at some point. But yeah, enjoy, guys. I think it's really.
Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, to Aiden's point, the beer can glass has become super popular, I would say, over the last 2-3 years. It's not exactly a shape or a glass that's built as some of the other ones to complement the beer. It's more so it looks good from a decorating capability because it's flat. It's something really easy to decorate. Takes good pictures. You can see it looks good. Mostly used for something like this, light, crushable, something you want to keep emptying and filling up. But yeah, this one looks great with the Rush logos on it.
It sure does. I got to tell you, 23-year-old me would have been so excited to see me have this glass and and this Rush beer in it. So
Nathan's 64-year-old, you will be just as happy. Okay.
Oh, that's a great point.
So yeah, we just finished Rush Day at the brewery, our second annual. We had about 1,000 to 1,100 fans from around the world, actually, Scotland, Brazil. A couple came in from Honolulu. Probably 50% were Americans, actually. And we launched the Rush Light beer, and it's really the perfect beer for this demographic. And really we are going after the Coors Light drinker with this. We kept the price point pretty low. I think it's $3.30 or $3.40 in the LCBO. I'm not even sure the beer store exists anymore. This would be the perfect beer for the beer store, but I'm not sure that's a channel or may not be a channel in a couple of weeks. So, and again, we wanted something with the glass. We've done a lot like the Rush, the collector glass is how can I put this? Glassware, if you go into the collector community and you veer towards beer, glassware is an easy one. It really, really is almost the first or second thing. There's obviously cans, but cans, you got to drain out the liquid, and there's obviously the can collector clubs where they crack it open the bottom and stuff. So glassware, and we've done quite a few with Rush over the years, and I really wanted something different. And Zenan once again stood up and offered us this one. So we're really happy with it.
And love it. So this glass, do we want to touch on the glass to get this started?
For sure.
The importance of this glass, why it suits this beer.
Yeah, for sure. So this glass, unlike the other glasses that we'll go through, this glass more so for a crushable beer, something light you want to put in there. It's become very popular over the last few years from a decorating capability because it's flat, it's round, it's easy to decorate. From a screen printing capability, digital printing capability, which is what we've done with the Rush logo here. Okay. So yeah, popular glass for something light and crushable, just like this.
What is this glass called? Does it have like a name or anything, or is it just a can glass?
Yeah, it's known as a can glass.
Can glass. And I don't know if we want to get into print. Maybe we'll talk about printing afterwards, actually, because otherwise we'll get too much into the weeds. So this is fire, and like you said, this beer is available now. People can get it from Henderson Direct. And
LCBO, the LCBO working its way.
Amazing. All right, so let's get some background from Zenan's side down. Then let's get into tell us about yourself and your involvement in beer, the company. Give us that sort of the info as far as so people can get a picture of what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. So on the Zenan side, Zenan's actually been around since 1990. So it was a family started and run business. Started here in Toronto. I heard the stories the first time they sold a pallet of glass. I believe the owner, they didn't have room to put the pallet in the garage overnight. So he actually slept in his car outside. So no one stole the glassware. Woke up in the morning, opened up the garage, printed the glass and shipped it out. So definitely started, grassroots. The company built themselves into the biggest glassware decorator supplier in Canada. And then my involvement came in. So 3 years ago, pretty much peak COVID, myself and a couple partners, the original owners were looking to sell the business. The gentleman who started the business was coming up to 70 years old. And they were looking for some new buyers, didn't have a succession plan. It came across the desk of one of my partners now, and it wasn't in the plans. We weren't looking to buy a glassware decorating business. I don't even know if we knew that it was out there. But they went and took a look at it, saw there was some potential, so background on myself, I was 11 years at Pepsi right out of university. So business degree, actually went to McMaster, which I think, Nathan, you might be from Hamilton originally. Is that right?
I'm from Burlington, so not far.
Yeah. And then Craig, you're in Hamilton now, right?
Yes, sir. Hamilton, McMaster's not far.
Yeah. So Hamilton started with Pepsi, did 11 years, all different sales roles, from starting as a sales rep up through key account management, working with Costco, working with Loblaws.
Nice.
And then my partner, Luke, who's running the business with me, he has a similar background, spent over 20 years at Kraft. So kind of bringing a bit of a CPG corporate kind of mindset to a family-run business, see if we can find some efficiencies. And so it's coming up on 3 years in October that we've bought the business.
Nice. And as far as the glassware space, where do you guys stand in that? Like, are you on the larger side or smaller side? What's the
in Canada, we're the largest by a lot.
Okay.
And then as far as North America, there's two pretty big ones in the US. So
okay.
We'd be in the top 5 in North America.
Okay. And as far as the side, okay, so therefore, if you guys are the biggest in Canada, would you say that the vast majority of breweries, you'd probably deal with them?
I would say, yeah, over 75% of the breweries across Canada. So BC,
across
Alberta.
Canada, wow, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's pretty wild. So, I mean, I guess when you purchased the business, they already had all the accounts were already kind of sorted.
Yeah, for the most part. And maybe Adin can talk a little bit about with his kind of relationship with Zenan. I think, Adin, you've always worked with Naz, who's been at Zenan almost since the beginning. We just celebrated his 25-year anniversary. So I think ever since Henderson's been open, Naz has been there. So we had some clients. There might have been some clients that we had worked with before, but when we came into the business, maybe we hadn't worked with them for a few years. Mm-hmm. I still have a list on my desktop of breweries we don't do glassware for that my plan is we will do glassware for. So there's definitely been some wins and maybe some businesses that worked with us and then stopped. And now we've got them back in-house.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is it just beer or is it kind of a bit of everything?
It's everything. So we do beer glasses, wine glasses, liquor glasses, ceramic coffee mugs, stainless steel barware. So all the gift with purchase stuff that you see in the LCBO on the liquor bottles. So, glass in a box on a bottle. Mm-hmm. We've decorated the glass. We've got a really great printing partner, Chris at Harbor Printing, who prints the gift boxes, sends them to us. We co-pack it all and send it off to BCLC, LCBO, stuff like that.
Interesting. And then if you you're referring to like those Christmas like gift pack type things.
Yep.
So like, do the breweries ship you the beer and you put it in there, or do you ship them the glass and the box and then they finish it up?
Yeah. So if it's something with liquor in it, we don't have a licensed facility. So we'll either ship them the flat gift boxes with the glassware. But if you're looking at stuff like if it's like a mug in a box and it sits right on top of the bottle, that's something we would co-pack all that, send it out either direct to the LCBO, and then the brand's reps would go around and put them on the bottles.
Interesting. Okay, so it's basically, you name it, you do it. You guys do it. It's like kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and then we used to do a lot of apparel. So pre-19. So we have t-shirt presses. We have screen stuff there. We through COVID, they kind of stopped. The guy that was running it was no longer there, and we just recently got back into it. So yeah, trying to be one-stop shop. I mean, we got all these great breweries, these great partners. They're buying glassware. We know they're buying t-shirts. We know they're buying hats. So how do we make it all in one for them?
Gotcha. What volume of SKUs do you guys have? Like, if a brewery comes to Zen and was like, I need some glassware, how many options do they have? Can you do custom things for them, or at least find something? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so I do all the sourcing of glassware there at Zenan. We've got a massive facility and then a third-party facility where we also store glassware. So I'd say the biggest reason that Zenan is the biggest in the industry is because of the inventory that we hold, the turnaround times that we're able to offer. And Adin can talk to it. Sometimes events show up and everything's set, and then they realize, we didn't order a glass. We got to call Zenan and see if we can get something by the weekend. So I'd say that's kind of our biggest advantage. We've got over 1,000 SKUs of glassware, barware in stock. So I'd say over $2 million of inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting harder and harder, though. To give you an example, we're throwing a private Oktoberfest at the end of October, and we secured our steins in February. So we reached out to Zenan and said, look, we've got this event going. We're going to need somewhere between 300 and 500. Just hold them for us. And, now we're in September. It's funny, actually, Naz would have reached out to me probably about 2 months ago saying, okay, you guys do have a finite, like, you got to be strategic. I think I want to say at Henderson, we've been going, I think we're coming up to 9 or 10 years. And I have my treasured relationships with suppliers, and Zenan is amongst the gold ones for various reasons. One, they get our business. Two, they're incredibly, once you prove yourself, I guess, to be fair, they're incredibly loyal and work with you. And three, they deliver. I want to say, what I mean by that is, if I need the beer, if I need glasses in a pinch, because whatever reason, they'll do their best. They're very proactive in telling me, okay, this glass is available, but by the way, it's going to be a 13-week lead time, so you need to get your order in now and stuff like that. They also have, the nice thing is they have at any given time a bin end, like a sale rack, for lack of a better term. So if you want to do something cheap and cheerful for something, they have glasses that scan the reach. But there's about 4 or 5 suppliers that I put, and I will say, Dan probably doesn't know this, but in the past, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, pre-COVID, there was a few bumpy patches, and I went to the other supplier in the industry, and that lasted about 2 weeks. So I said, "Fuck this, and let's just get back with that." So, from a brewery perspective, they are the game in town, but they're very loyal. And while they have this, to be fair, if I could talk to other breweries or people out there who want to work with Zenan, their catalog and what's online is overwhelming. So what you need to do is develop a relationship, and you say, I'm looking to do this. What do you have? And then, I think we'll talk about the effect in the Canadian craft beer industry that the shrinking Stella glass had on the industry. How, it used to be an 18-ounce Stella, then it's a 16-ounce Stella, then it's a 12-ounce Stella. And I always tell people that we work in the most regulated alcohol industry in the world, yet you can call a pint whatever the hell you want it to call it. You go to some bar, there's a 10-ounce pint. You're like, what the hell is this? This is a mini little glass. So if you go to Zenan with kind of a rough idea what you're looking for, then they'll narrow it down and help you. But the catalog is like ginormous.
Right. I can imagine going in to the website knowing there's 1,000 SKUs and trying to find what you want is probably a little overwhelming. So that makes a lot of sense to build the relationships. And it sounds like you guys are all about relationships as far as this is concerned.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we brought when we bought the company. And Adin, maybe you can speak to this. I feel like the old owners, Zenan's always been a supplier to the industry. And what I've wanted to change about that is, how do we become more of a partner of the industry? Like, we're not a brewer. We're not as cool as a brewer. I like to say we're cool by association. We work with them. We get to talk to them. I think what's different about, especially Luke and myself versus the other owners, is we're beer drinkers. I love going to breweries. I love talking to breweries. And I would say perhaps our conflict resolution, like we make millions of glasses a year. We're going to have issues. Everyone's not going to be perfect, but it's kind of how we deal with that resolution. And how do we kind of make it right for, building long-lasting relationships with clients. It's not a one and done. It's not one deal and then we never see you again. We want that repeat business. We want to build that relationship, and we want it to go from there.
Gotcha. That's dope. I like that a lot. I guess it's particularly like if Adin, like you're saying, you've got a short list of suppliers that are very meaningful to you. And in this sort of, weird time that we're in, it's probably more important than ever to have that and to know that, like, that's my guy that's not going to let me down. And then from Zenan's side to be like, I can't let these people down, because if I do, just like Adin said, things got bumpy. You went to the competitor. It's like cheating on your barber. I did that back in the day. Terrible move.
I did too, by the way. It's from Gillette to Dollar Shave Club and back to Gillette. So, yeah, and I think what we have to recognize too in our industry is key suppliers like Zenan got just destroyed during COVID, right? Like we were still able to serve beer. You guys are still able to drink beer, but nobody needed branded glassware. Nobody. In fact, I happen to know that, Zenan, I don't know if it's when you had the company, Dan, but like there was a major Stanley Cup promotion about to go live, right? And there was like, I think I order a lot of glasses. Well, the big boys order a lot of glasses, right? And that was the Stanley Cup that ended up, being in the bubble where they split the teams and Canada has its own thing and everything. So, Zenan was left holding the bag on, I probably had $10,000 worth of glassware inventory. I don't even know. And I had no home for it, right? There's no selling glassware during COVID. There's no selling glassware. There's no selling coasters. There's no selling merch. There's no people need to touch and feel these things. And the breweries were okay because people, as we all know, drank more than they should have. But guys like Dan were really left holding the bag, not just from a forecasting standpoint, but the whole industry. You can imagine, tap rooms were gone, bars were gone. I don't know how many people buy beer for home with glassware, but it was very few. We probably sold, outside of Rush, maybe 24 Henderson glasses in the entire part of COVID to some Henderson family in Scotland, to be honest, right? Like, wow. But they, Dan and they stepped up, and it wasn't like COVID was out and suddenly they said, okay, you need to take $10,000 worth of glasses. Cause obviously, as we all know, it took time for the industry to rebuild. And, we're still at this period where, the bars open up now and they're not opening with 30 taps, they're opening with 20 taps. And they're also the other, we should talk about trends in glassware. Like, it's not uncommon to go to a bar now and it's all one glass. And the old days where you go to a bar and there was 25 glasses and each beer has its own glass, or each brewery has its own glass. Now it's, this is the standard glass, right? This is the wheat beer glasses, the Guinness glass, etc. So they've really had to adapt to the times, and I've respected that for that.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I guess the best relation would be we were essentially a brewery that only did draft, and no one needed draft for a while. Right? Like we weren't switching to cans. We didn't get a canning line. We weren't able to sell anything to LCBO. So yeah. And I kind of came in, we bought it in October of 2021. So it was kind of like the second wave of COVID. So I didn't know the beer industry really, or the glassware industry pre-COVID. And it was tough for us too, because we obviously had some inventory. We had some certain items, but if someone needed a specific item, we were also getting kind of left in the dust from the manufacturers, because the manufacturers had cut down a lot of the items that they were making. They weren't making 1,000 items anymore because they were just making the big sellers, the ones that they could, set up the line and run for a week, make the same glass and sell it. And a lot of those are candles. So a lot of the glassware manufacturers that make glassware that we buy, they sell a lot to candles. Everybody was at home. Candles went crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone had 24 candles every night, like lit up. And, there was suppliers that wouldn't even pick up. Like, I didn't talk to them for the first year, because anytime we called them, they didn't even pick up. And if they picked up and I said, hey, I needed this glass, they're like, we can make it in a month, but you got to take a full day run, which is 90,000 glasses.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there was one supplier over in Europe that actually really had our backs, and I think they're Borgonovo, and they were ones that were able to work with us, and probably one of the biggest reasons we were able to make it through COVID, from what I saw just coming in, because they would always pick up the phone, they would do what they could. They're in the glassware manufacturing, kind of small to medium, but to be honest, some of the big guys wouldn't even pick up the phone.
No shit. That was kind of one of my other questions, as far as like, where does it come from? So, I mean, you kind of answered that. So essentially, you guys don't make the glass. You guys are sort of like the middleman, I guess, between the actual manufacturers, which there are many.
Yeah. So there's many. There's a couple in the US, and then the majority are out in Europe.
Okay. And
some of them have decorating capabilities, but they're only looking to decorate 1 million glasses, 2 million glasses. They're doing the big global glasses that some of the big brands are using across the globe.
Right.
They're not interested in decorating 2,000.
And this is important. This is the one of our few things at Henderson that we haven't gone to Alibaba with. Like, it's okay to go to Alibaba for coasters. It's okay to go there even for, I don't know, rubber bar mats or something like that. But when you come to glassware, and they are way cheaper, to go through China, but you can't promise the quality is there. If Zenan never makes a mistake, we've had some where the ink leaks, and they'll take it back right away, no questions asked. And it really, from a brewery's perspective, it defines who you are in your tap room, and also, of course, in a bar. Right? It's important. And we can talk about sort of the the business of beer and beer glasses. But the nice thing too about Zenan, like the Rush glass, you know, if I'm launching a Weiss beer and if I have space and I really, you know, want to put it in a Weiss beer glass, Dan and Naz are receptive to flipping me 36 or 48 if it's available. The logo's on site, you know, they kind of have in-house art to, like, it's easy. It's very easy for me to do, to plug and play my logo on it. And I would think most breweries like that as well. And it allows you as a small brewery to trial things, you know, and then if this works, you know, you can scale it up very easily. So it's really good.
That's pretty dope, because I don't imagine that's like, I wouldn't have imagined that it would be like that it would be that doable to do small run stuff like that. Like that's a pretty tailored service to offer. Which
I don't know if I'm speaking out of line there, Dan, to be honest.
No. Like, yeah, we've done tons of small runs. We've done, hey, you know, we have an event. We missed a few. And it depends on the decorating capability. It depends on, you know, what we're doing for that glass and how quickly we can get it done, and also what's going on. But yeah, I mean, we honestly do anything we can. We've gone in on Sundays before because someone needed something on Monday. So we try to do everything we can. And if we can't do it, we'll get you a quick answer and just say, hey, sorry, it's just not possible.
Well, I mean, guys, look at what he's done for you guys. I mean, that's fucking,
oh, yeah.
You know, like,
oh my God.
When she saw the box, she's like, these are staying. I'm like, yep, they sure are, you know, so I got to find 6 glasses to replace these with, because, you know, I'm a limited space beer glass guy now.
No, I respect it. And that was actually how Dan and I connected. Was Dan noticed that we did not, which is kind of ridiculous, coming up on 10 years next year, we didn't have a BOS glass. So
yeah,
we were talking about,
and he's not the first one to have said that before either. I think you're saying Sam from Sawdust, like Med said that once. But you know, Dan was the first one who said that was able to do something about it.
and he did, and Aiden just showed some of the stuff. So tonight we're going to be drinking on custom beer. And look, honestly, it's so cool to see it, and it makes me realize how silly it was that we didn't do it. It's just because I was telling Dan when we initially connected, I was doing music for like 22 years, and the worst thing ever was when we were touring and you had to keep stock of merch. And it turned me off, because even to this day, they've got tons of CDs and T-shirts and hats and stuff left from when we stopped doing shows. And I was like, I never wanted to keep merch. So now we're you know, I guess we could say it here. We're planning a pretty big thing for next year for the anniversary in April and May. And we've got some incredible collabs. We're going to do some Glassware stuff. We've got an event coming. So it's super cool. And I also wanted to shout you out, Aiden, as well, because we had you on the pod. This series was going to be called Industry Talk. And you were like, no, you should call it The Business of Beer. And that's why it is called. So this is thank you to you. Thank you.
Yes.
Tell you.
Yeah, my tombstone, boys. It's my mark on the world. So
I love it.
Sage advice.
Yeah, and I think it is. I've been listening. It's you know, this industry has definitely grown up. We're all going through some tough times. You know, there's the corner stores now, and what does that all mean? And I think it's you know, it's a mature industry, and the business of beer has never been more critical. You know, you can't just be a fan who wants to start a brewery. You know, I mean, the most people will talk you out of it now. So it is literally working with,
wisely so.
Yeah, and again, like I do say, like, I don't let my team. We don't. You know, I swear a lot, as you guys know, we don't fuck with the Zenan relationship. It's very, it's great, and you know, I do have to say. Dan, we have this. He's got this guy Naz, who's been there for. I call him Naz-tastic. He's been there for 25 years. He looks younger every year, and you know, the guy's in Croatia on vacation, and he places the orders, and he chases up, and they're flexible. You know, we have good, very smooth relationship, and if anything ever, you know, to give you an example, here's what Zenan used to do pre-COVID. Is glasses come in boxes of 24. Okay. Mm-hmm. And glasses, they're not cheap, right? I mean, they've gotten more and more expensive, but they were never cheap. And you have a little bar, whether it's a sushi restaurant or a Mexican, like a little small place. I'm not talking about like an Elephant Castle or a King Taps or something. And they want a box of glasses. Well, you used to have to give them 24 glasses. And that's just ridiculous, because, you know, you walk into the sushi restaurant and all the water's going out, and all the Coke is going out in Henderson glasses, and these things are expensive. And I said to Naz, I go, listen, can I get them in 12s? He goes, well, it's going to cost you. I was like, what's it going to cost you? He goes, $1.80 for me to have labor to put in a 24 to put in a 12. Well, brilliant, because then now when a bar asks for a box of glasses, they get 12, which is fine, and then you break 12, you get 12 more, like as opposed to giving you 24. So little like that flexibility as a supplier doesn't necessarily, it saves money, but it also just makes your job running a crazy business easier. And that's what a good supplier should be.
I love that. I love this. This is brilliant. On the interest of moving through, we have a whole bunch of fun beers and fun glasses that I want to make sure we show off in depth. Which is the next one? I guess, Adin, if you're driving the bus with this.
All right, well, let's get it out of the way because this is a shit show. This is the amazing Randi.
Okay.
This is Ides 99, I believe. We can talk about Ides 100, which you guys are at the first two cans. As you guys know about Randi, he was a magician, very famous, Toronto. He was on like late night show with Johnny Carson and everything. And my partner, God bless him, Steve, wanted a beer that turned purple when you poured it, which is basically impossible. But what he did manage to do was make a beer, a purple beer. So great. We're using this glass here. It is a hazy pale ale, obviously. It's purple, boys. I don't know what to tell you.
It's purple. Okay, I did not know that.
I did not know it was purple either.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, to be honest. I mean, that's the kind of the treasure of the Ides is Steve came up with this concocted story about the amazing Randi, and then Trevor, our head brewer, was like, okay, let's make it purple. And then I only found out about a week later what the hell we were doing. But it's I don't know if you can call it a hazy pale ale. I don't know if you can call purple hazy.
I reckon
purple haze, that's a thing, no?
That is definitely a thing.
That's lawsuit infringement, and that would piss Rush off. So I would never call it purple haze.
What did they use? Butterfly pea flour?
Yes,
Is that what it was?
100%.
Yeah, that's always what it is.
100%. It's funny. I'm friends with the Blood Brothers guys, and they were over when we canned it. And I said, "Here, boys, here's a purple beer." He goes, "You didn't use butterfly pea meal, did you?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is something in the industry." So it's fun. It's great for our second to last Ides. I don't mind it. It's purple. I'm not gonna lie. Like it does take some time getting used to it, especially coming from Henderson.
I think it's fun.
It is fun.
Look at that.
It is fun.
It's fun.
We like ridiculous beers, so I'm here for
we have it on tap, and this beer more than anything, we have to pour samples before we sell a pint.
People won't. You think
Zenan's currently out of it, or maybe they're back in stock. The 5-ounce sampling glasses that we use for our flights, and that's another great thing about Zenan. They run out of glassware. They offer you alternatives, or they give you a realistic ETA of when they're coming back in, which is great. Like really important. So yeah, this is the second to last Ides. We can talk about the Ides series. The book is coming out next week. The book's out, but the launch is next week. And yeah, it's a fun beer.
That is the book, by the way. Toronto
100 beers. I'm really clappy. Dan, I was in the meeting when he came by yesterday. No
worries.
Yeah, so this is with House of Anansi, which is our neighbors. They're Margaret Atwood's publisher, one of the largest independent publishers in Canada. Cool. And it's the story of 100 beers. Alex Lyson from Rush wrote the intro. And yeah, there's the amazing Randi. It's really fucking cool, this book. I mean, I'm really, really proud of it. My partner Steve and Tony, our art director, really put their TLC in this. And it tells the story of Toronto, because the Ides are all about, famous stories of Toronto. So Ides 1, which is, Dear Toronto, go fuck yourself, love Vancouver, to Ides 100, which you guys are going to try. The first ones to try it, actually, which is the story of Robert Henderson. So cheers, boys.
Cheers.
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 That is definitely a trip to drink, because the color doesn't match what you're tasting, which is actually fun.
Nathan, what do you think, buddy?
It's doing a real trip on my brain right now, because I almost need to drink it with my eyes closed, because I'm thinking for a second, like if I don't look at it, then I can kind of more get back to okay, yep, that's a hazy pale ale. I'm getting the soft stone fruit notes and and all that, but to look at it as I'm tasting it is really fucking with my brain.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be sour when you taste it.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like blueberries or something, but it's got the earthiness from the pea flour with everything else that Nate said. That's the only tell. I reckon if you did this blind, you'd be like, why is it earthy?
We all went into this industry because it was fun.
Yeah.
And this, I think Craig this was a fun beer to work with. I mean, I remember walking away shaking my head and saying, how did I let that one through my net? Because I probably would have captured it first, because for me it's about a commercially approachable beer, shall we say. But this one, it's been popular. The artwork is amazing. I got to give a shout out to Tony, and then I think Dan nailed the glass. I mean, it really does bring out the color in the nose.
Perfect.
Yeah,
fun, right? You got to have fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Probably one of my favorite glasses that we have.
Yes.
Yeah. Also,
is it called the New England IPA glass? Is that what it is?
Is it not? Yeah.
I've never heard it called that.
Okay, what do you call it?
So it comes from Rastal, which is it's just a company out in Germany. They call it the Craftmaster.
Craftmaster.
It's similar to the Sam Adams in a way, is it not? They're kind of
yeah.
It's a beautiful glass.
So yeah, for an IPA being like bulb shaped, you want to keep the head. This one, there's not a lot of head on this one, but for the aromas of a hazy IPA, and then get a little more narrow at the top to kind of direct that aroma into your nose and let you enjoy what the brewer was trying to do.
Interesting. What?
It's very much got the it's got the anyone who's familiar with the Spiegel glasses will recognize the similar shape, although these ones will not break if you look at it too hard.
Exactly. Yeah. if we print on it too hard, those break.
Dan,
oh my
God. 14 or a 16 ounce?
This is 16.75 ounce.
Right. So here's the craziness, guys. So we also, if Dan calls out a 16.75, that in the bar, it's a 14-ounce pour. But the bar, you can call it a 14, you can call it a 16, you can call it a 16.75. Like, it's kind of the Wild West as far as what you can call something. So,
I try my best to keep it in milliliters, because you got US ounces, you got imperial ounces. I've never heard more people use CL differently.
Oh my God, yeah.
50 CL could be 500 milliliters, 650, 425.
That's a
like
pint.
Somebody asked me CL, I'm like, just don't even bring it up. Like,
who uses that in these days?
I see it.
Stuff that comes from Europe, but
that's
like,
what I thought.
People will ask me.
Like,
and
I've seen it when my glassware collection used to have some of the bigger European brands, or even some of the like classic Belgian stuff, like I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but on like on these chalice glasses, if you saw like one of the old like Delirium Tremens glasses, those would have like 0.3 CL on them or something like that.
I've sold glasses where the box says like 40 CL, and then they've called and complained that it's not what they thought 40 CL was, and I was like, well, I didn't know what you thought.
Isn't it centiliter?
Yes.
That's what it's supposed to be, but like it should should be 500 milliliters, but
times it by
everyone.
10. Right.
Not to everyone.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Coming back to the beer for a second, and and in this glass,
mine's more blue.
It's just like well, see, that's a fucked up thing with butterfly pea flower is that it looks different in different light, and I also find that it looks different the more that you drink too. That's something that I've seen in butterfly pea flower beers before too. Is that like when it's full and in certain light, it looks one color, and then as you get closer to the bottom, it kind of starts to change a little bit. It's such a trip. But they just like the Spiegel glasses, like these ones are great for haze, like pale ales, IPAs, and whatnot. For the head of the pour, it's perfect for that. And I poured mine because I like to get a bit of head, in the beers for photos and whatnot. So my beer line had come up to about here, and the rest of it was this trippy blue, blue head of foam in here, which actually formed perfectly. So it's pretty wild, and this glass is perfect for that.
It definitely is. I remember this being, now as you said, you guys mentioned the Spiegel glasses. So those ones were like the IPA glass, I guess, from was it Stone? Is it Dogfish Head?
Yes.
No. Yeah, Dogfish Head.
Yeah, it was Dogfish Head.
And the other one is Rogue and Stone or something for the stout glasses. Yeah. So this was advertised or promoted, at least when I first saw these, as the New England varietal of those glasses, just from a different manufacturer. Like it wasn't like pushed as Spiegel, where if you look, it's got that little engraving in the bottom. So interesting that they're not used for that. So it's like, excuse me, were they primarily, at least from your perspective, Dan, were they made for this style, like a hazy IPA or some sort of brighter, juicier IPA, as opposed to like the more clear West Coast stuff?
Yeah, something where it's more aroma, and you want that head retention. And then the Spiegeloo, it's actually, and we could talk about it because we have the same capability, is nucleation in the glass. So that logo is actually laser etched in the bottom of the glass, and what it does is it gives the nucleation something to bounce off of at the bottom, and then it keeps that head retention. So for hazy IPAs, not a lot of people do them for hazy IPAs here. We do a lot of nucleation. But yeah, it is pretty beneficial for a hazy IPA.
And nucleation, sorry, you said that's the inscription at the bottom, or the?
Yeah, so the way they put it in is it's actually laser etched in the bottom. So it's not in this glass, but the Spiegeloo glass, and we can do it in ours. So a lot of clients do them. Is it's actually laser etched. So there's little etchings in the bottom of the glass. We can do it in any logo on the bottom of the glass. So if Henderson wanted the H nucleated in the bottom of the glass, we could do it, and then that gives it something to bounce off of.
I've got a great Anderson Craft Ales glass that has the Anderson A with the hop in the middle etched in the bottom. It's pretty dope.
Yeah,
and you can see the bubbles rising off out of the label.
It's actually if you YouTube it, like nucleated versus non-nucleated, you would think it's a joke, like this is fake. We actually did a video on our Instagram with 2 different glasses, and the visual aspect of it is just crazy, the difference in it.
Interesting. You guys, let me ask you too. When you go to bars, is glassware, are you looking for branded glassware? Like what is the consumer now, looking for at I'm not obviously talking like a mainstream, shopping mall steakhouse, for example, or wing place. But when you go to a beer place, not a even a craft beer bar, or not a brewery, obviously, what are your expectations now with glassware?
That's a cool question. I used to work at the beer market in it's not there no more, but the one on King in Portland in Toronto, and I was a terrible bar back and food runner. I'm not a hospitality guy, but I really liked that they had what you were kind of talking about earlier, Aiden, where like they had the glass for like Jupiler, like Leffert, like Fruity, everything had the glass, and that was kind of one of my first. It was 2011, one of my first exposure to that. I just thought that was super dope. So one of my biggest pet peeves, I fucking hate the tumbler glass. So if I go to a beer bar or whatever, somewhere that's like properly, takes beer seriously, has a great curated selection, and then they drop a tumbler on you that's filled to then they fill it to the brim and there's no head. I'm just like, the fuck is it? Like immediately I just feel like I have a mid experience. So I think the expectation is, even if they're not brewery branded glasses, I don't really see that. Particularly if you go to a larger beer bar that has, whatever, tons of selection, it's not really feasible based on kind of what you said earlier. I would expect at least some sort of
at least a shaker pint or something.
Sorry, shaker is the tumbler.
I hate those. Are you at the point now? And I'm curious. Are you at the point where, a Vice Beer? So you're going and they have, I don't know, say Side Launch wheat. Does that have to be in a wheat beer glass for you? Preferably. Or is it okay if it's even in a Side Launch glass? Or is it okay if it's in a, this glass? Like where's the consumer now with, I'm going to say, look, you live in Hamilton. There's some awesome beer bars. I'm not talking about I'm talking about beer bars. I'm not talking about Beer Town, which, again, the chains, one of the reasons that beer market was so successful with all the glassware is they had the real estate to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So when you go to a bar in Hamilton, a cool beer bar, the Brain or something like that, and they've got, the list on the chalkboard and stuff like that rotating. Where's your head at when it comes to how it's being served vis-a-vis the glass?
You may preferably. Sorry, Nate. Just on that note,
yeah.
The tumbler. What'd you call it? The shaker glass. Is that the one that's just no? That's a no. Don't ever give me a shaker glass. I hate those fucking things.
Good thing I didn't do a shaker glass.
Well, I mean, if it had our logo on, that's a different conversation. But if I'm going to a bar that's just like you put everything in it, okay. Let me just summarize it this way: if you're going to be so thoughtful about your food menu, about the beer menu, and how you're curating it, be thoughtful about how it's presented. I think it matters. It matters to how you feel about like when you're drinking it. I don't really care if it's in a proper wheat beer glass or a side launch glass, as per that example. That doesn't really bother me so much. Just be thoughtful about it, and at least be like, you know what, this would look better in this, or this would, like, you know, project the aromas better in this glass. Just something that's not like, I don't know, we can get these for 15 cents each, so let's get 1,000 of them and keep them out the back, and if they break, whatever.
And would you be expecting 4 to 6 different glasses? Like, you know, are you expecting? So you're okay if, you know, I mean, I'm just naming. I don't even know if the brain's still around, to be honest. But like, yeah, like, would you be okay the brain pouring everything into 2 different glasses, regardless of it? Or you like, you know what? But plus, like, let's be honest, boys. What's a pint now? $9 sometimes, right? Like, so, and that's not the bar fleecing. That's not the brew. That's just the cost of everything now. So, I would love to. I think Dan probably would too. I'd love to understand from you guys what's going on vis-a-vis, you know. So what you're saying is, it can't be a shitty glass. There's got to be some thought put into it. But you're okay if a side launch Weiss beer is poured into a Pilsner glass, or you know, this is the glass I pour most of my beers into at home. You're okay getting a 12 or 16 ounce of a stemmed glass, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would rather you pour everything into a stemmed glass, like the one that you just showed, Aiden. Yeah. I would rather everything be poured into that than everything be poured into a shaker glass or a nonic pint. Most and this being the here, oh,
Nate's freezing. I'll keep going in the meantime until he comes back.
Like it's not going to upset me. Sorry, Craig, what's up?
No, you froze.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah.
Am I good now?
You said the pint. You put the glass down, then you froze. Just
okay. All right. So yeah, like for most of what I order, if it comes in a nonic pint or in a shaker glass, it's not going to upset me. If everything is going to be served in the same glass, I would prefer it be one like this, because most of them, there's going to be some benefit to having something that produces better aromas, and it even just looks a bit nicer. Something that my favorite bar in town, Bar Lupulus, does is they serve everything in Bar Lupulus branded glasses, and it's everything in a teku. It's a teku glass, and that's what they serve absolutely everything in. And I think as a style generic choice, that works pretty well. Like, I think that works pretty well if you're ordering a wheat beer. It works just fine if you're ordering a lager. Works great if it's hazy. They
get different sizes, I guess. From you're not going to get a 16 ounce of a 12.5% beer, right?
No. So it's the same. So they've got 3 different pour sizes that they offer, and but they serve it all in a teku. It's just how much are they filling it up?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that then, as far as like, whether from a brewery side or from your side, Dan? Like, how do you guys feel about like?
Well, I'm biased, but I think every beer should have its own glassware. So,
yeah. I mean, that would be optimal. And you know what? If you go to a place, just on that note, because Dan, Aiden, you mentioned like if you go to like a sushi restaurant and there's Henderson glass everywhere. If I go to a bar or whatever restaurant or somewhere that's serious about beer, and then there's one brewery who has a branded glass and then nobody else does, like, it would make that brewery stand out. I'd remember that brewery a little more, a little better. And also, I'm taking a photo for Instagram stories, and I'm doing my selfie if it's a new beer for me. So that is going to stand out in the branding more, particularly if I'm at a bar and it's just like we've done a bunch of trips this summer, and I posted some of the photos the other day, and there was one that we went to a restaurant and just got some food to go in, and I was drinking the beer, and it was just in one of those like this style sort of pint glass, but obviously there's nothing on it, and I was like, the fuck is this? I had to go back and find my photo and be like, what was the brewery? Where was it again? And because it was just nothing, and it was just like, it's a nice enough photo, but I didn't know what it was. So I just feel like it'll spark the memory a little bit more, and at a time where that's probably pretty valuable, that sort of mind share for a brewery to make some sort of imprint on somebody if they have an experience. If they don't do what Nate said at Bar Lupulus, because I think that is super cool, and I agree with that. If it's like one cool glass for everything, because they can't do what Dan said, is have a different glass, because obviously that is the best case. Like, branded glassware, different glass for every beer, obviously is the best, but I know it's not feasible.
Especially for a lot of your smaller smaller independent non-chain craft beer bars, they're just not going to have the storage space for that.
Well, and sorry guys, for breweries don't have the storage space.
Yeah,
I can't have 5 different glasses. I mean, Dan would love it, but I can't have 5 different glasses for all my core beers. This is not possible, right?
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do? We have our standard Henderson. What's the glass, Dan, that we use? The Henderson 16.
That's you guys have a shaker pint, I think, is the standard.
I think we've been that, but that fits best. So we've been with that forever. Figo has its own glass. Rush has its own glass. I have a stemmed glass like this that we bring out in a 10 ounce when we do our high gravity beers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have so we probably in our tap room at any given time have 6 to 7 different glasses.
Yeah, you guys usually have some mugs.
Yeah, and again, I'm gonna tell you guys, like all the glasses that Dan given us today, right? None of them also interesting enough are stackable. So it drives you don't want a stackable glass in a bar, right? Because it comes out of the dishwasher. You guys know the story. It comes out of the dishwasher, you're handling it, the glass goes on top and you got handprints in it, right? So we've always had that shaker. We've been very happy with it. It's the Henderson glass. It's a 16. We have probably 10 or 20 bars that still serve a 20, which is crazy when you walk into a bar and they give you a 20 ounce. You're like, holy shit, this is a lot of beer. And then, like I said, I will experiment. But it gets unmanageable. You get really busy. You got lots of inventory. You got tons of staff. And for some reason I experimented. I fucked around with the Figo glass, and Figo's always in a thing. And what happens is sometimes we have probably, 144 Figo glasses, and you see the disappointment when somebody gets a Figo and it's not in the Figo glass.
Yeah,
right?
I would be
somewhere, right? Like it's nobody's fault, but that's a whole other problem, right? Like so.
I actually love the Figo glass, and I don't know any other brand that uses it, and I don't know why.
What's it called?
It's called a Dagmar.
While you're pulling that up, 3 or 4 years ago, Aiden, and I forget which one you sent it out with, but you guys had a stemless glass that you sent out a little while ago that I absolutely loved. That was one of my favorites for a little while. It was it was a small one, like a little kind of like tall narrow tulip thing, but a stemless one. Like that one was dope.
That was for Beast.
Right.
The Imperial Best.
Yeah.
And that's that's the nice thing with Zenan, really, is you can do these little kind of tactical. You can learn. You can play around. You can see what works for customers. What really, the Figo glass we don't really give to bars anymore. It's expensive, I'm being honest, and it does break a little bit, but also it really kind of gives a unique point of difference in the brewery, and you can see people that really just love that glass. So it's interesting, people they're disappointed. I've seen it. I've seen them say like, oh, some it's like that Erdinger glass. It's like the Hoegaarden glass. We're all like, I'm probably older than you guys, but there's certain glasses as you started drinking. We all talk about the Stella Chalice, like the Hoegaarden glass. Remember the bucket? These things were important as you started discovering beer, whether it was macro or micro. Nobody knows what the Heineken glass is. Nobody knows what the Molson or Coors glass is. These guys don't have iconic glasses, but Erdinger has an iconic glass. But Stella Chalice, the Guinness glass, and then craft Sierra Nevada was just a tumbler with a little green thing on it. But I remember that glass. I remember I'm drinking a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Fucking A, look at this. And this is a shitty glass, to be honest, at the top, now, but you look back on it, you're like, that's iconic, and that's part of, growing into becoming a beer drinker, is those iconic glasses.
That's a good point. You mentioned the thing earlier about Stella, because I think that was one of the first glasses I got back in the day too, with the gold rim and all of that stuff. So you're saying that it started big and just slowly got smaller over the years?
Yeah, I'm sure there's people in the back giving shit, but we always call it when I was at Slimming, we call it the incredible shrinking Stella glass, because what would happen is the beer would get more and more expensive every year, and bars were eventually like, well, I can't charge $18, so I'm just going to have a smaller glass. So the price of a pint of Stella always kind of hovered around $10 to $12, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But it never went up because the glass just got smaller. We went from probably initially started back in the day at 18
ounces. That's the earliest shrinkflation there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
that's so crazy.
It's the incredible shrinking style of glass. I mean, Dan, your mix must be mostly 16s and 14s, right? Versus 20s nowadays.
Yeah, 16 would be the most for sure.
Yeah, if you were to go back 8 years ago, probably 20s.
Yeah, you get some people creeping up to the 18 ounce. The 18 ounce kind of shaker glass has become popular for some, but yeah. Post-COVID, 16 ounce.
Would you say that the 18 ounce is just to give a little bit of room for head, so you get full 16 ounces of liquid, and then, or do they still sell it as 18 on the menu?
Oh, they still sell it as 18. Yeah.
Interesting.
The thing is, they buy it from us in like a bar. You know, say Aiden bought some glasses and sent it out to Craig's bar in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Craig's going to fill it with water and then call me or call Aiden and say, hey, there's 18 ounces of water in this glass. I'm losing 2 ounces every time I pour because I'm selling 16-ounce beers. Like, I've actually had to go out to restaurants and with either a scale or like a scientific beaker, because they're using a measuring glass they got from Walmart that's this big. And if the print is off, a millimeter all the way around, there's 3 extra ounces in what they're pouring.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference for some places.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing is like, what's a pint in one bar in Craig's bar is not a pint in Aiden's bar.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's kind of a crazy little thing.
So it's just like a weird cultural thing that's kind of changed where everyone's just like, I don't know, I'm going to call this a pint.
Yeah. I mean, I cut my teeth in England where there's the Crown logo on the beer and you fill it up all the way to the top, right? Don't screw me out of 0.05 fluid ounces.
Yeah. So if you reach out to our sales team is pretty well coached in milliliters to the brim.
Okay.
Right.
So what is the milliliter all the way to the brim? Tell them that's what it is.
And that's the size of the glass.
Yeah, and we talk 16-ounce glass, 14-ounce pour. That's how we talked.
Oh, and that's because of the head, right?
Yeah.
To give a room for that. Okay, interesting. Huh. Yeah, it's weird. Even just as you guys are talking, I'm thinking, I don't know as much here. I find in the States they have more options always. So what size? You always have to say what size pour you want. And I find here it's less, unless it's like it's either a flat or like a pint. And that's kind of, or whatever size the glass is, as opposed to, I feel like in the States there's like a 5 and a 10. And then sometimes a 14 or 16, like, and you got to always go and they always, it's always like an additional thing. So I find it just saves time if I'm like full pour of this one, please.
Yeah, fair. Totally.
Which I guess is a cultural thing there where they have different ones. Whereas here it may be based on like, I don't know, like obviously lower the ABV, like the more the volume. Yeah. You're going to probably get a big ass mug of like a crispy or something. And, whatever, like we were saying earlier, if it's high ABV, it gets lower or whatever. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's in fact, I feel like there's so much more to glassware. Like even just that question about like what do you expect, and it's yeah, and I really think it just all comes down to that thoughtfulness. Like if you want to stand out, whether actually, and I feel like it almost applies to a brewery too. Like it might not be feasible as well. Like you said, Aiden, you guys got so many SKUs. Like if you had a special glass for everything, because we've also got one-offs. Like you're not going to make this amazing Randi glass. It would make very little sense for you because it's not coming back. So it's like you've got to sort of make that make sense for the experience. And I think it's easier for a brewery because you could probably carry 6 to 10 SKUs of glasses to match everything you've got, and it should be pretty sweet. But if you're a beer bar, when you are carrying different breweries and it will change week to week, it's got to be at the very least like lupulus at Nate's example. I think that's a dope example. Or like we said, if every beer just had this little stem tulip glass, I think that would be, or sorry, every beer at a bar would have that. That's pretty sweet. But I think it's something that you guys are thinking about. Dan, you're in glassware, this is your business, and Aiden, you're in hospitality, and you're trying to think of what the consumer wants. And I feel like it's an unconscious thing where like you do it, you might go, yo, this kind of suck. Why did I really like this? And you don't really think, hey, the fucking glassware was shit. And it's
I mean, a brewery should have a flagship beer. I mean, look, there's breweries that launch 50 beers a year, and that's what they're known for. But if a brewery has a flagship beer, it should have a flagship glass to go with it.
Agreed.
It really should be, it should be remembered for that, And if you read all the stuff that's coming out of the States, I mean, one of my favorite breweries, Firestone Walker, just announced their business plan for 2025, and they're basically like, in a nutshell, fuck one-offs and let's focus on the core. And you can guarantee that like their English Pale Ale, their Hazy, their 805, like there's an iconic glass for each of those beers. Now they're in the States, so they're magnified, but in Canada, you're starting a brewery, like what's your flagship beer, which is, we're certainly seeing people go less for one-offs and more for the core. And you should have your glass, and Henderson or Bellwoods or whoever should be known for their glass, like not known for their glass, but this is the glass. And then you feed it out, like, you have some pulsing in and outs depending on what you're trying to do.
You just meant that this is like an interesting thing, known for the glass. All the ones that we brought up that are known for their glass were European kind of like legacy breweries, Stella, Guinness, Hoegaarden, etc. Why do you guys think that we don't really have that as much these days? Like you mentioned the Figo, which is your Italian Pilsner, by the way, like that glass, but like in general, like you mentioned Bellwoods, I can picture a glass with their logo on it, but I don't ever recall having the experience of getting that glass and be like, oh, this is the Bellwoods glass that I was waiting for. Like, why isn't that as much of a thing these days?
Yeah, it's a good question, because in Europe it's such a thing. Like I've been, there's a big glassware and homeware show that's in Frankfurt every year, and my first year at Zenan, all the manufacturers are there. So I went out just to visit with them, and I was at a bar, and it was a local Frankfurt brewery that I wanted to try the beer, and I ordered it, and the bartender actually apologized to me, told me he just broke the glass like 2 hours before I got there, so he couldn't serve me the beer. Because he didn't have the glass that is supposed to come in, so unfortunately he could not serve me the beer.
That's hardcore.
And I've never seen that before. And it's just like, it's part, like there you get the glass, you get the beer, and you get the coaster. Yeah. And that's the perfect pour. And that's what they want to do. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be a part of the culture here.
Do you have any insight into that, Aiden, being that you've been in the biz for?
Well, I mean, we're talking about breweries that are 200 years old, right? I mean, let's be honest first. Like, who knows what they did in their first 30 years? And I was in Germany this summer, and trying all sorts of, I went to 9 or 10 different breweries, including Erding, and I went to Conneslug, one of the last sort of monastic brewery, a Weiss beer does have a Weiss beer glass. Now within that, there's 19 different or 20 different iterations. A brewery will take its own sort of mark on that glass, and then if you have in Europe, the German breweries. So if you're in Frankfurt, whatever brewery you went to, Dan, they're pretty big in Frankfurt. So they have this capacity, and they have these beer gardens where, to be fair, you have to serve it in that glass. And I think it comes down to us in Canada. And really, I don't think any of us can name what a Molson Canadian glass, a Coors glass, or a Labatt Blue glass is. Like, I think I could probably think of a Creemore glass, and I could probably think of a steam whistle glass, but we just don't have that history and culture of glassware. I mean, let's be honest. Like you look at this, and this is, we're going to pour my Weiss beer in, which is a knockoff of a German Weiss beer, fruity banana estery, but this is the glass that 95% of the German breweries are using. They're using their own iteration, whether it's wider or smaller or something like that. And they're going to glassware manufacturers, where I just don't think we have that culture.
Yeah.
Glassware. And I think that we do in wine, I mean, you're not drinking wine in a tumbler. You're not, like there's stemless glasses and there's nice glasses and there's Riedel glasses. I just think that, our history of beer in Canada is mainstream, and especially in Ontario, you buy at the beer store and you drink it out of a bottle, for fuck's sakes. I mean, that was I don't even know. Like, it's an interesting thing. When did people start pouring beer into glasses, for God's sakes, at home? It's probably 5, 6, 8 years ago.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, the brewing culture is also younger too. Like, we don't have the centuries of brewing history that that they would have in like in Germany or Belgium or in the Czech Republic or anything like that. Like, we don't have the styles that have been like that have been passed down generation to generation that have kind of had like you say, this culture grow with it. So it makes sense that we kind of don't have the same connection to it that they would have there, or what we do have, we are we're using, we're following their lead on that. We're we're pouring like a German Weiss beer in a Weiss beer glass. Yeah. And, we're pouring a Czech Pils in a Czech Pils mug.
Mm.
Yeah, and the thing that the craft beer industry does a really shitty job of is we're really good at talking to ourselves and not necessarily to people outside of craft beer industry. And I think that this is why I like this business of beer. Like, I think it's great because it is for people to kind of understand the financials of it. And, we haven't even talked about, when I go and get quotes from Zenan, a glass between, don't quote me on this, but $287 and $587 a glass. That's a lot of, is that $3, which really I have to give to the customer, is that going to sell me more beer, or is it going to actually make that connection to Henderson that next time they're at a bar or at LCBO, they're going to buy my beer because I bought a $3 more expensive glass, or I bought some crazy glass. Like it really is, we love talking to ourselves and I could lock myself in a room. Like my very first visit to Zenan, I'll never forget, 12, 15 years ago, probably when I was at Sleeman, they walked me through this hall of glassware, it could have been like a hunting lodge with heads all, like with deer all over the place. And you're like dusting this off and dusting that off. So I think the craft beer industry versus when you go to Frankfurt, you go to England and you get a pint of Landlord, or London Pride is in a very standard glass, but it's part of the culture. It's been there for 100 years. And how dare you not pour my pint of Pride in a Pride glass? And we just haven't established that culture here.
Interesting. On that note, next beers, boys. What's next?
Yeah, I think it's time.
So I think we should do the hef as we're talking.
Yeah,
I think we should do our hef, and I think Dan, I want to give you credit. This is one of the nicest glasses I've ever seen, and the branding. No, this one. The Radicles.
My bad.
Caption.
Okay, I don't think I got that one.
Yeah, I don't think I got that either.
You
show me.
So you know what? Literally, I'm telling you. Sorry, guys. The Rush, they crushed us. So pour that one. That is a Radicle Hopfenweisse.
Okay.
Dan and I have a slightly different one. Welcome to craft beer. Let's pivot, shall we?
We'll make it work. It's all good.
Yeah. So this guy is a hoppy wheat beer. It's good. We brought it back.
I was just going to say because this was Ides 51 and you brought it back.
Here's craft beer at its greatest. We brewed. We had a glycol issue. Everything crashed. My brewer, God bless him, Trevor's like, this tastes like this. So in craft beer, you can kind of pivot a little bit. Dan and I are going to drink the Weiss beer, which is what we're supposed to be drinking.
Okay, no problem. Well, we can talk through both. You know what? It's even better. Now we get twice.
Yeah, two different classic Weiss beer. You guys are drinking more of a Hopfenweisse, which is, I guess, if you think in the Hopfenweisse universe, you're thinking Schneider Weiss does a Hopfenweisse. It's essentially a hoppy German wheat beer, where Dan and I have, and I'm sorry, guys, this is totally unprofessional.
That's all right.
No, not at all. It was great.
It's almost perfect. Dan and I have more of a classic German wheat beer, so you guys will get more of a hop. I probably we overbought Sabro, so I imagine Trevor put Sabro into everything. So the German beer should be a little cloudy. Obviously, some yeast build up at the bottom of it and stuff like that. I'm going to fast forward through this part when I listen to the podcast.
Okay? Dude, don't even sweat it. I think, once again, it's actually like a net positive because now we get to talk about two different brands.
And I will say, for you guys, Craig and Nathan, this is the glass that's going to stay in my shelf.
Oh yeah,
I think your logo,
a gorgeous glass,
looks, and the logo just looks fucking perfect. So here's this. You want me geeking out? Like the size of the design on this glass is perfect.
It is
absolutely perfect. Cool. Like the dimension, how it also has like a finger above. It's bold. It has a lot of space to it. Like I'm not just saying like the logo itself is beautiful, but Dan did a killer job putting this on.
By the way, I want to, Dan, basically what I did was I sent Dan the folder. I go, here's all the logos. So all of the logo work, Dan, I just like, dude, go nuts. And I really feel like you over-delivered with this in general, man. I just feel like it was so fun just looking at them all, and they're all so different. And there's actually one in the chalice or something, like I feel like almost like an Easter egg at the bottom there that I just noticed as we were sort of getting on. I was looking at it on into the coaster, and there's like a logo you put in the foot of it, and I was like, oh, that's sick.
So like and then I'm gonna listen. I had COVID during this beer, so I haven't even tried the beer that you guys are drinking right now.
Ooh. This is I had it in 2020, it looks like.
Yeah.
When this one dropped. So I haven't had this in 4 years as well. So you must have been mashed up back then. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Get that in you.
Yeah, for the glass, obviously a Weiss beer glass, tall and thin. You want to show off the colors of the Weiss beer. And then basically just the shape near the top. Nathan's got some nice head there. Like that's the point. Try to keep the head retention.
Yeah.
And show off those like kind of banana aromas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's also got these. I don't know if I can get
footing.
but if I turn it, you can see it. It's got like these gorgeous thread lines, got like that wind all the way up the glass.
It's like a banister.
The detail on it is wild.
Yeah.
So
I can see why you'd like this one, Aiden, as well. I think this one you made it the sickest, Dan, as far as like the logo placement and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably my favorite.
Yeah, the dimensions, the size of it, lots of stuff. Like this all goes into the thought of it, right? Like it really you did a great job, man. Like this is it's a beautiful glass, but just how it all
comes together.
Yeah.
Really,
man.
Yeah,
what's the volume of this in CL?
Let me guess, is that a 14-ounce glass?
I think it's 13.75 or 13.75 or 14. Yeah.
Look at that, Aiden, you're a G. Sorry, Dan, I cut you off, bro. That sounds about right. So this would fit a shorty. You could pour a shorty in there pretty aggressively and have plenty of room for the head.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, sick. Sorry,
and as I was thinking of the podcast, like I think I said like I could have done something. Hey, let's at least do one glass, send it out to you guys. We can all drink all the beers from the same glass. It's a gift and a curse because I am in the office every day. I'm there for 10, 12 hours. I leave. I still have 10, 12 hours of work to do. And I end up spending like most of one of my mornings being like, okay, no, I can't just do one glass. I'll do 2. No, I'll do 4. Aiden, how many beers are you sending? You're going to do 6. And I'm just like,
I know.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I didn't do any work yet today. But we got some sick glassware for the podcast.
Oh, we sure did. Jesus,
and that's
Christ.
what I'm saying. This is unheard of. I don't know if anyone's ever had a podcast where they've had 7 custom glasses to match with 7 specific beers, and that was it. I don't know if we really iterated that. Like you paired every glass with the beer, and then using the logo made it fit for that glass, and they're all completely different. It's exemplary fucking behavior right here. I'm loving it. And this is fun. Even just like I haven't drank out of a glass like this in a while. Like even just how much of a pleasure it is to like you can grip it if you want like a fucking barbarian, but you can also, delicately just hold it. It's so like I don't know. It's classy. It's chill. I'm going to be using this a lot.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Also, from a user perspective, this has almost got to be washed by hand. It's going to break in the dishwasher. It falls over. These are things like Roger Mittag. You guys know Roger Mittag. When we built Henderson, I knew him from my Sleeman days, and he was obviously doing his Prud'homme, and he convinced me to buy what at the time was the Lexus or whatever of glass washers. And it's great. It's a front loader versus one that goes around like this, but this glass is a disaster for that because it goes in a tray and you stack on top. So we don't stock this glass, not because I don't love it, but because I can't clean it properly. So just little things like from a a feasibility standpoint where everything else is stackable, not stackable, but you know what I'm talking about. You put it in the glass rinser or glass washer and it's flat. This one is delicate, shall we say.
I did ask Dan on email. I was like, yo, I've had some trouble in the past, not much, but with the labels coming off in the dishwasher, and Dan was like, nope, the glass is going to break before them bad boys come off. And I washed all of these in the dishwasher and everything came out fantastic. I tried to stack it like kind of a little close together. This wasn't so bad though. I've had other glasses that are much more annoying than this one as far as falling over all the time and being paranoid.
Yeah, I think with ones on like the conveyor, the more so the on-premise ones. Yeah, if you get a glass that's like a glass like this, they usually put it upside down. You got the heavy top at the part or heavy part at the top,
which makes it kind of
tumble over. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
this doesn't really help any like anyone at a brewery or in a restaurant, but at home, if you've got a tall, thin glass like this, what's perfect for this is and this really only works if you've got kids. But I've got my son's bottle brush that I use for cleaning his bottles. That's what I used to clean this, and it came out perfect.
Oh, that's amazing.
It'd probably be perfect for toothbrushes.
Yeah.
That'll
take a bit longer, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I always remember I had those like the Spiegel ones, and in my old place I had no dishwasher, so I washed them by hands for years, and there was always this like, it almost just looked like a little bit like a frosting at the bottom because I feel like I couldn't get it
because you could never get all the way down to the bottom. Like they get like a little layer of gunk. It's disgusting.
And I put that bad boy in the dishwasher one time when we moved here. Boom, oval, beautiful. Stunning, sparkling. So I don't know. I kind of prefer it if I can, just to get a bit of a better wash on them because they do it better than I can do it. But yeah, if it's a precious one, then like,
yeah,
at least you got that option.
A random. Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like to go back to like the logos and we have multiple different decorating capabilities at Zenan. So from screen printing, laser etching. Digital printing, which is what the rush glass is, UV printing, and then we also have a team in the back that does hand applied decals depending on the number of colors and the shape of the glass. There's a couple things that go into it. So I don't know if you guys know, but when glassware manufacturers make the glass, when it comes off the line, it's pretty raw. They actually spray it with some kind of resin all over the glass so that when they're shipping the glass across the country, they don't scratch. So if they didn't spray it, these glasses would be rubbing together. They would send it to me. They would have all these scratches here, and I would call them and complain and say, I can't use these. Mm-hmm. So they spray it. The issue with that is once it gets to me is that spray stops the ink from adhering to the glass. So the first thing we have to do is unpack all the glassware. We actually have a machine that spins around, flames it, and applies some Pyrosil. So it takes that spray off and then applies a different layer that helps the ink adhere to the glass. So that's step one. So if that's not done, it doesn't really matter what you do after that. Like a couple washes, that ink's probably just sitting right on top of the glass. You get a hot dishwasher, it's peeling off like a sticker.
Gotcha.
And then as far as the different capabilities, so our screen printing and decals, those go into a Lear. So it's a massive oven, gets up to about 850 degrees. From start to finish, it's 3 hours. So it heats up, gets really hot in the middle, cools down on the way out. Essentially what's happening is the surface of the glass is getting heated up. You could see if it was a decal, there would be a film around the logo. By the time it comes out the other end, that film's burned off and the ink is kind of sunk into the glass.
Huh.
So that's how these are decorated. And that's why I'm saying like these will break before they ever come out because it's essentially in the glass. Whereas we look at Rush, which is digitally printed. So same kind of pre-treatment process, but that is actually sitting on the glass and then has a cover coat over top of it. So you're going to get more washes out of something that was essentially baked into the glass than something sitting on top of it. And same thing, like if we didn't pre-treat this Rush glass properly, like that's coming off in a couple washes and Aiden's calling Naz and saying Naz plastic. And like we said, there's thousands and thousands of glasses that were decorated in a day. Maybe as it's spinning around, the flame doesn't hit it right, the Pyrosil doesn't get added to every single glass in the same manner, and it happens. But and then UV is kind of in the middle. So these would be UV doesn't need to go in the digitally printed and the UV, so it's cured by the UV light. So it's kind of screen printed, put the color on, goes to the UV light, it's cured, comes back, put the next color, goes to and when it comes off the machine, it goes in the box, it's ready to go.
Interesting. So the I really love this this Rush glass as far as the printing on it. So this is digital printing, but it's raised.
Digital printing.
Kind of
Yeah.
the camera of it. Yeah, it's kind of like, if you can tell, it's like raised up.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's got like a very like pleasant texture.
Yeah, and we can add layers onto that, almost give it some like embossed feel if that's what someone's looking for. So if you look on the inside, there's a layer of white, and then there's the blue on top. We could do 6 or 7 layers of white and 2 or 3 layers of blue, and give it kind of even more of that feel.
So it's just volume is what's made it pump up.
Yeah, and these digital printers. So these we bought 2 years ago. Zenan never had this capability. We're the only ones in Canada that have digital printing. And I think there's only one decorator in the US that has digital printing. So the really cool thing about this is it's full CMYK, full wrap. There's no colors we can't do. On the decals and screen printing, there's some pinks and purples that are actually really hard to come up with. But if you give a can glass like this or a shaker glass, we could do, because it spins as it prints, we can do full wrap, full different colors. And what we can't do on decal, we can do on here is like different shading. So if you want, like if this star, or if you think of like a blue moon logo that's kind of shaded out into the top, we can't really achieve that on a regular decal or a screen print, but on digital printing, you can kind of achieve those things. So it gave us a whole bunch of capability we didn't have, and a whole bunch of capability that, no one else had. So we have a lot of breweries that'll buy something like this for their tap room, and then something like this to sell in the retail shop.
I
so
see.
Something that's a little more expensive, a little cooler, but they want the one color print because they don't want Craig to steal it when he goes there and has a beer, but they want him to see this sitting on the shelf, and they'll sell this for $14-15, and people are willing to pay for it.
That's very smart, actually, because I know someone who used to do that all the time, tea for the glasses, and I feel like it's probably why people moved away from the in-house thing, and then had the actual prettier ones to sell.
Yeah, don't steal glassware, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, that's sick. I was talking to you earlier, Dan, today or yesterday about it. Like, I have a Badlands glass, which is just the can glass, but larger, from their recent Select thing. And it's the first time I'd seen this print before. And you said you guys did that. Obviously, if you're the only one in Canada, that makes complete sense. I was like, I don't know, I really like this. There's something about it that's like, reminds me of like a puffer print on like a hat. If you have like a, like it's got the new eras, and they basically sew it over foam, I think, to make it puff out. So it just reminds me of that. And I feel like it's like a really cool experience, but it's good to know that it also has maybe a little bit like less of a lifespan.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
And it also, we can do plastic on it too. So we actually did, I don't know if you guys saw all the stories that came out from the US Open and the cocktail that they sell there. And they were going to sell $23 million worth of it. But that plastic US Open cup, we actually did, not that cup for the US Open, but we did it for the National Bank Canadian Open. Cool. So if you went there, we've worked with Dirty Devil, who is Canadian-made vodka, and they've been for the last 2 years now the main sponsor and the signature cocktail of the National Bank Open. So we could never do that on plastic before we have the machinery that we have now, and we kind of did like a full wrap tennis National Bank Open Dirty Devil cup. So Craig, I think you were there. I don't know if you had one of those or saw those around. There was those pink drinks that people were walking around with.
It sounds familiar. Yeah, the WTA one, right? At what's the place? Sobeys.
Yeah, the Sobeys Stadium, and then so the women were there, and then the men were in Montreal. So we did cups for both of them.
For both, okay. Yes, I mean, I obviously just drank the beer, but yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. See, that's sick. Okay, so that's a plastic wrap on a glass or on a plastic cup.
It was basically a plastic shaker cup, yeah.
Okay, like the solo cups, but clear.
But hard plastic, yeah, hard plastic.
A hard plastic. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, that's dope, man. Like, so there's a lot there. That's all of the different types of printing, the main types of printing that you can do. I know. I think we also talked about you could do like a silver or gold, almost like a foil type of look.
Yeah. So we can print decals or gold rim. So 24 karat real gold. There is some brands that use it. So we do a gold rim for Great Western Brewery, the original 16 glass. If you guys have seen that one, The issue with that, those should be hand washed. So gold is such a hard metal that it's harder than what's going on the glass. So if you do wash those, they will also come off eventually. Great Western's well aware of that, but they love the gold rim. So we do it for them. And a lot of people do that too for gift with purchase stuff or stuff that they're selling, because there is a higher cost to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a sexy looking glass. I'm just looking that one up now. I see what you mean. There is something to that gold rim though. It's super classy. But yeah, I guess by nature those things would be
except when it comes off.
Except when it comes off, then it's a little rough. It's pretty sick. So was there any other type of, I guess that's all the main types of like printing as far as the options. Is there anything else that like you guys use, Adin, from your side? Like any types of printing that you like for a reason, maybe?
I didn't even know this was printed this well, to be honest. And I have to say, Bob King's ass has never looked better. So Bob King is our man. So it looks excellent. I mean, again, how can I put this without sounding ridiculous? I trust Zenan. So, you know, when my marketing director, Matt, who orders all of our stuff, places an order, I don't have any worries about it, you know, like I just know, and I get the PO, and I get I sign off on the file. I don't sign off anymore, but Matt will sign off, or Tony, our art director, will sign off on the final thing. And I know that Zenan have our best interest. And to be fair, you know, it reflects on Henderson, but it also reflects on Zenan if I have a shitty product out there. And I think they've always understood that, right? Like it's, you know, I'll tell you my favorite story. We ship Rush stuff all over the world. And I once got an email. A guy ordered a Rush glass, and I made the mistake. I didn't make the mistake, but we've done a chalice before with the stem and everything and the bubble wrap, and the glass showed up broken, right? And it happens. And we're shipping glass to mostly, you know, the States and stuff. And this guy wrote an email to the owner of Henderson. Fuck you. And I was like, what? He goes, Rush is fucking perfect. They would never ship me a broken glass. Everything they do is perfect. I was like, look, first of all, customs could have ripped it open. Like, you know, it broke. We'll replace it. But anyways, when you partner with Rush, or when you partner, you know, when Zenan partners with their brewery partners, they know it's the brewery's reputation on the line, and it's a quality product. So I'm not really worried. Like it's you know, there's challenges. I've learned, you know, steins are a disaster, because here's what happens with a stein. A stein comes out of the dishwasher at whatever temperature it's hot. You pour cold beer into that much hot glass, and the glass will break. Very, very common. Very common that somebody's sitting there holding a stein with the beer all out thing in the base. And that's the happen with, you know, the Hoegaarden bucket and stuff like that. Thick stemmed glassware that come out of a dishwasher and don't have time to properly cool down and get cold beer in them, they break. So you learn these things, and Zen has always been able to kind of, like, I know this just from 20 years of cutting myself, but they know that these things are kind of, you know, these are some, like he told Great Western, which is, you know, obviously probably the 5th biggest brewery in Canada, that's, you know, the gold's going to come off, but you choose to do that. And that's the thing. So I don't worry too much about it, to be honest. I liked, you know, and Henderson's not cutting edge. We just want to be consistent and have fun and, you know, fuck around within the Glassware universe. And they've allowed us to do that.
That's fun, man.
Love that.
Yeah, it's super cool. I was wondering even with the different types of print, because that's, I don't know, maybe because that's just on my brain right now. I'm like, you know, we're considering what we want to do for the anniversary and such. I know we've been still figuring out before we meet with you, Dan, and go further with it. But like, what would be the difference then? And this is kind of for Adin too. Like, say the types of like print that are, like, it would go in a tap room, just since we're a beer podcast to talk about beer, like, you know, in a brewery tap room versus the ones they would have for sale. Like, I know you mentioned just before, sometimes they'll have like this type of one for the Rush one. They wouldn't actually have that in the tap room.
I'm too lazy. I'm not gonna lie.
To do different ones.
I use the same glass for everything. And if they steal glasses, if they break glasses, you know, fine. And you know, again, like, I don't know about other breweries, but I probably sell 100 Henderson glasses a year. Like, we just don't sell a lot of Henderson glasses, where I mean, I can't even tell you how many Rush glasses we sell. So I think that personally, a guy walks in or a girl walks into the bar and orders a pint of Rush Light on tap and gets it in this glass, I don't want to sell them a different glass. This is the thing. And if they steal it, that's just part of doing business, you know, like, to be honest. And it's not easy to steal a glass in a tap room. Let's be you got to be kind of a different ilk it's a lot of work to steal a glass. Like, congratulations, you managed to steal a glass. Way to go. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm pretty relaxed about that, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. I think, Craig, to your question, like, we don't have a lot of breweries reach out and be like, hey, I want a glass from this technique or from this. It's more so they come to us with an idea. We've got, 4 graphic designers and a whole graphic design team in-house. People call me and be like, or send me a picture from Pinterest and be like, do you have this glass, or can you get this glass? Or, I need a 16-ounce glass. And I'm like, I need a little more information. Like, so our sales team will do a good job of like asking a few questions, try to get some more information, understand what they're looking for. And then, we'll decide kind of in-house, okay, the only way we can achieve this is these 2 different ways, send them a proof, see what they like, and then go from there. But pretty rare for someone to be like, hey, I want this digitally printed, or I want this screen printed, or I want this UV printed.
Okay. Would they say like, hey, I want this foil on there, or I want it to be gold and shiny, or like I want it to feel bumpy or something like that?
Exactly. Like, we'll get those kind of cues, and then we'll be like, okay, like, how can we possibly achieve this? From gold, they kind of always want, hey, can I get a real gold quote and a artificial gold quote? And we're happy to do that. And then they typically go artificially gold, but yeah. So, we try to keep our team with all the knowledge to try to say, help the brewery and try to achieve whatever it is their vision is.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it was more like, I guess because we're learning about it all right now, like on this episode and recently and maybe it's something that maybe a lot of people don't think about. Like, you just look at the glass and it's got something on it or whatever. And you're like, cool. Not like, how did it get there? Or
you come from a creative, digitally designed background, so that matters to you a lot more than slapping a logo on a good, feasible working glass that can be your engine for a tap room, right, Craig? So that's like the different backgrounds and cultures and stuff like that, Yeah. So like, we never ask Zenan to mock up a glass for us because I have an art director and a marketing director, but a lot of other breweries lean on Zenan to actually create the whole look and feel where, for you kind of already have an idea what you want to do for your 10th anniversary, right? And Dan's going to be, reactionary and make that happen. So, and that's within the brewing industry as well. The big guys have, I don't know, like departments looking at glassware, right? Where I'm like, shit, I'm out of glassware. What do we want to do now? What do you guys have in stock? So that's just kind of how it goes.
Interesting. That makes sense though. Like, it's not always, sometimes it's like a need, it's fulfilling a need of a vessel for beer, as opposed to a specific type of vessel that's going to suit a specific style of beer. And I don't know. It sounds like if you got like 6 different glasses, you could kind of make it all work anyway. And it's just kind of like, if you run out of something, you're like, oh fuck, all right, let's just get something else. Maybe it's a little different or whatever, and you can sort of adjust to make it work.
And it's so interesting too, because from like a home consumption. So Nathan's at home. Nathan, you don't care. You'll pour Bellwood's Belgian Tripel into a left glass, right? Because it's the right glass. You're not super sensitive to the logo, no?
No, I care more than most. If I have a glass of a certain brewery, when I crack them open, I'm pouring them into that brewery's glass.
What do you do if you don't have?
So if I don't, I will either use an unbranded glass, or if I'm using a glass from a different brewery, when I take a photo, I will make sure the label's not showing.
So is the
I'm a bad example. I'm more particular.
We're too far down the hole. Like, let's be honest.
Nathan, is the logo more important or the style of the glass more important? Like, if you're drinking a town brewery and you got a town kind of tumbler glass, but it's an IPA and you've got an IPA glass over there, which one are you going with?
The style of the glass is more important. If the glass that I have is very style specific and it doesn't quite line up with the beer that I'm having, I'll go for something that is more style appropriate.
That makes sense.
Which I'm assuming is the answer you were hoping for.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just realized now what the tumbler glasses are, and I was confusing those with shaker glasses. Shakers are the ones I'm not the biggest fans of. Tumblers are the more like the Willowbold ones.
Yeah, tumblers are actually pretty sexy.
Those are fire. So
I
like those a lot. I think they're like those feel utilitarian. What's the word? Utilitarian.
Yeah.
Where I feel like if you had that glass, I wouldn't be offended putting any style into that glass, personally. Like if you've got if you're drinking, we got the Willowbold glass and it's that tumbler one, and you use that for fucking because if you go to the brewery, they'll give you an IPA in that glass, they'll give you a Pilsner in that glass, they'll give you a stout or a seltzer in that glass. It doesn't matter. Like it's kind of like universal. I feel like maybe there's a series of glass formats or styles that are kind of like like the shaker glasses. I just don't love them because they if it's branded, it's fine, but if it's the one where it's all scratched up and the glass has been in use like every day for 10 years, it sort of feels like pubby.
There's something there's something that just feels a bit plain and overused by an unbranded kind of scratched up shaker glass,
beat up.
right?
Yeah, it just feels like not a higher end experience. When if you go to a beer focused place, it's typically a little more on the.
It's also something that feels like you could just as easily be serving a Diet Coke in it as opposed to an IPA.
That part,
and a lot of places do,
yeah, and I get it, but I don't want to come across like I'm hating on it either. It's just maybe a personal preference. Like I totally get it. As a business owner, it might just be like the clientele typically don't give a fuck, so why would you? But if they do, okay, so maybe this is where I'm getting at. What aside from that tumbler, which I think is a pretty good answer, are there any other styles? This is for everybody. Are there any other styles of glasses that you all, and maybe even just personally, not even to do with Zenan or Hendo or whatever, but are there any glasses you like? I would drink any style out of that glass if I went out. Like at home, it's a different conversation, but because not
the
everyone.
Spiegel glass is very sexy.
The Spiegel one?
Spiegel glass, the narrow one with the kind of little bend.
Oh, with the little bend, yeah.
That is a very sexy, iconic glass. But again, you're talking about like 120-year-old Austrian brewery.
Would you drink every style out of that glass? That's more the question.
Oh God, I mean, look, this is my glass. This is my glass. This is what I'm drinking. I'll drink a Best out of this. I'll drink a Blood Brothers out of this. I'll drink, to be honest, I'll have wine out of this. Although I probably go wine with a stemless, but this is my glass. I have about 6 of these. I told you, this is working its way into my network now, but this is what I pour beer into. And I just think it gets the nose. Your hand isn't on it, warming it up. It's not workable for a bar, but this is the glass I would pour any beer, anything from a fucking Coors Light to a Duvel in this glass.
Yeah, yeah. There's no beer that's not gonna work in this glass.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Craig, some people would say the beer can glass, if that's
underrated.
Yeah, I think. If you get a beer in the beer can glass, you're probably thinking it's pretty cool. You're taking a picture, whether it's functional or helping that style of beer. I don't think the tumbler's helping the style of beer too much, but it looks good. It's cool. Yeah. The beer can glass, I feel like, is in the same category. And then the Willie Becker glass, I think, would also kind of probably be the biggest part of that category, where honestly, it's as cheap as a shaker glass, but it doesn't have the bad rap. But you could get a Coke in that glass or a Pepsi. You could get a water. You could get a beer, and I don't think anyone's really complaining about it.
Yeah,
it comes back to though. Do you want your beer in a place that is going to serve your beer in the same as a Coke glass? And it really, we're all struggling for volume and everything like that. And, times are tough and bars are shutting and good bars are shutting. But, a bar that's potentially, unless it's a dive bar that trades off that, a bar that's serving your beer in the same beer it's serving a Caesar and a beer, are they cleaning their lines? Are they looking after your beer? Is your backup keg cold, or is it sitting in the kitchen, next to a hot stove? There are other things that we've kind of lost focus on, and I think as craft beer has expanded, you used to have to go seek out certain breweries at certain bars, and now bars are also everybody's. It's not so rare to walk into a bar. It used to be Creamore or Steam Whistle were the beers you could find. Now you can find really good beers at a lot of places, but you also, from a brewery owner, from a glassware, from a consumer, if the Henderson glass, or not even Henderson glass, but some other glass is going out, like a Caesar breaks my heart, because that thing, it's rimmed, it's got tomato juice, clamato juice, and it's got everything, and they're serving my glass. Like, is that where you even want to be drinking? What? Like, that's the other question, and we're, in the business of beer, we're, we have rent to make and people's payrolls and, RSP contributions and everything. And we sometimes make decisions that's not the best thing and do, sell our beer to bars that are not necessarily looking after the best interests of our beer. And a lot of times, you go to a bar and you have a pint of somebody's beer and you're like, this is a really shitty fucking beer they made. Not necessarily true. When was that line last cleaned? Like, did they rotate the kegs? Did they find an old keg? How clean were those glasses? Are they rotating their glasses? Not rotating their glasses. Are they cleaning their dishwasher properly? Are they using cheap sanitizer? Like, there's so much that goes into it, and I think that we don't think about that as much as we used to coming out of COVID and stuff like that, and I think that's why Bar Lupulus and some of these places are so great. Do you remember walking into bars and they used to have when the line was cleaned? You remember that? Some bars would have that.
I remember, like, line was clean on the 10th of the month, whatever. Yeah.
Tooth and Nail still do that in their brew pub. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we clean our lines. I mean, anytime we put a new beer on, we clean our lines. Our staff clean our lines, but then I bring Craft and Draft and Adam, who's again, I hold him up there with Zenan. He's just a hustler with the line cleaning. I still bring him in once a month to take off all the fobs and put everything together, but it's not a luxury I can afford to do at every single bar that stocks my beer, right? So, it all ties in together.
I wonder if you're at you mentioned just that experience where you have this beer at a bar and it's not the greatest experience. I wonder if another part of it is, you mentioned the Caesar. If I'm drinking a beer out of the same type of glass that the person 2 seats down is drinking the Caesar in, with all of the celery and all of that stuff, and I'm not a fan of it, I wonder if that's like an automatic, was this glass right before this used as a Caesar?
Well, fucking Caesar, and it goes into the glass rinser. Let's be honest, right? Like, we go to a lot of bars, especially like in the summertime in these big patios, and it's a beer glass that Caesar's being poured into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not the brewer's fault or the owner's fault. Like, I'm not even blaming the bar. I'm just saying, like, that's all part of this
perception and experience.
Yeah.
Which is so serious. I know I'm just looking at the time. I know we've got a bunch more beers to get through. I don't want to keep pushing through, boys, but you good for the next?
Yeah,
let's do it.
I wonder. I think I've totally fucked this up, which is fine. But what else do we have here, guys?
All right. We've got Best.
Yeah.
We've got Rube. We've got Rube Goldbeer. We've got Xanabrew, and as we said, Craig and I have the Ides 100.
Dan, did you get Xanabrew?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I didn't get Xanabrew. Let's do Rube. This is a really fun story, actually.
Okay.
This is a Belgian Tripel. This beer has won multiple awards, actually, in Ontario and the Canadian Craft Brewing Awards. This is so. Dan, which glass are we using, buddy? Are we going for this?
We're using we're using the other. Yeah, the
chalice?
Right hand.
So we used to have a functioning Rube Goldberg machine in the brewery. I don't know if you know what a Rube Goldberg machine is.
No clue. Please tell me.
Google it. Just Google it. That's the best thing to do. Is basically the marble goes down and then it all kind of
Goldberg machine.
Steve's brother built a Rube Goldberg machine, which you can see on YouTube, where basically you dropped a marble, like a pinball.
Oh, it's like the video, like Mousetrap.
Curious George came down, and then basically Curious George eventually opened the bottle of beer. It only worked 20% of the time, but people went crazy for it. So we brewed this beer, Rube Goldberg. It's a very famous machine that people build. Totally, you guys see that? Yeah. So we basically called this Rube Gold beer, named in dedication to the machine, which still hangs in the brewery. It never really worked, but it has a great idea. We have learned through the years. So this evolved. This originally started in a bottle. And then it went into a 4.73, and now this is pretty much the only beer, as Craig would call it, in a shorty. So it's about 10.5%. I think this says 9.5. I think this batch came in about 10.5. It's only ever been available at the brewery. We brew it twice a year. It's a special yeast.
That's fun.
Well, let me tell you, that shorty fits perfectly in this chalice.
Money in this chalice.
With like a 3/4 inch of head.
And this is the one with the little I don't know if you call it like a little Easter egg in the
it's gorgeous.
What's the bottom part called? You got a name?
Just on the footing?
The footing, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just literally only noticed it before. I was looking at it even the other day.
I thought it was broken at first when I saw it, actually.
Oh yeah, because it's got like indents around all the outside.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, tell us about the glass as well, Dan.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's a Belgian style glass. The shape of the glass, it's not really about head retention with a Belgian. It's all about the taste. So
gotcha.
With a wide mouth, it's more so about how do we dissipate that head. It's not about the aroma and just give the beer drinker the full taste of what the brewer was looking for. Mm-hmm. As far as decorating the glass, it's hard to see now because I'll pour beer all over my computer, but we got the little decal on the footing there. So, and talking about the ways we decorate glass, like a lot of the big decorators in the US are moving away from hand applied decals.
Okay.
There is no machine that could put this decal on that glass. If you guys really want to know, I hand applied these decals on the footing of that glass at my desk last week. But it needs to be hand applied. There's no other way to put it. It's a water transfer decal. So we print the decals on a bunch of sheets, throw it in some water, it floats off, you put it on, you squeegee it, and it goes in the leer and bakes onto the glass.
So dope. And if it's like the centering of it as well, like the little...
If it's not centered, if it's a little crooked, it's my fault. No one in the back did it, but I'm not an expert.
Hey, don't even sweat it. This
looks great, man. It looks great.
It's honestly, so cool. Great. What a sick experience. So my camera died. Y'all can cheers and drink. I'll be there. I'll be there in 2 seconds.
Yeah, so 10%. It's a little bitter. The sugar should come through. This is the one beer that whenever we're out of, because we only brew about 16 hex in a batch, and the yield's terrible. That people ask for, so we constantly have to have it.
Right,
it doesn't sell amazing, but a canned beer should really not last longer than a year. So this was probably packaged in the spring. It was packaged in March, it looks like. So, and we'll brew another batch actually next month, October. So, not a big seller. I sell it for about $3.95 or $4 a can. Value.
That's cheap for a triple.
Yeah. And it's the one beer when we run out. I'm probably they're never going to watch this, but I'm probably only selling this to 7 people, and those 7 people probably drink it all. So, and they would.
That sounds about right.
Like they would pour it in this glass.
I didn't even notice, but it looks like he's holding the same glass.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. We fucked around and done T-shirts. This has never had its own glass, to be honest. There's the monkey on it. So the monkey there, that's from the original Rube Goldberg machine, Curious George. So next time you guys are at the brewery, I'll show you the machine. You can find it on YouTube if you Google Rube Goldberg. We used to get huge lineups. The idea was that you paid $10 for the machine and it went to the local little league, basically the donation. So that was part of it.
And they got to use the machine to open the.
It never worked, dude. It never worked. But that was part of the charm. I think it worked 2 out of 100 or something like that.
Hey, you know what? If it did,
it's
like a goal in the Stanley Cup. People fucking lose their shit. I like it. This is good. I don't drink too many triples these days. I used to drink a lot back in the day when I first got into beer. I was drinking like triples and doubles all the time. So I always kind of find it like surprisingly, not surprisingly good, as if like it wasn't always good, but just like, oh yeah, like this style is like fun, and this does not drink like this is not. This is very smooth for 9.5.
Yeah,
this is not burning my face off.
Yeah, we're happy with it. I still say, and this is, my partner and I talk about this a lot, that the European craft beers, I think we talked about this in the last podcast. You can go to find a can of Hackam Shore Munich Helles for like $265 for 500 ml at the LCBO or the beer store. And Chimay and Grimbergen are some of those brands that have just been grossly underpriced in this market, you know. And like, I'm very happy. I love Rube, but you know, we're just trying to pony up and make something that is even, you know, like a single A pitcher versus a major league pitcher for someone like Chimay or something. So we've always said that, you know, if the imports ever, they could hand the craft brewers their ass, because like we're always trying to recreate beers that they've been doing for years. And like even Pilsner Urquell, I haven't bought one in a while, but we talked about it in my basket. When I do go buy a ton of beer at the LCBO, I always have Pilsner Urquell and Stiegel in that basket, you know, because it's like, they're not always fresh, which is part of the problem, but they're world-class beers, you know, and they're cheaper than the craft beers. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing. So, anyways, yeah, this beer's been around. We probably brewed this year one. So this best food truck. Pearson didn't even always start off Pearson. Figo, Rush. This has probably been our third oldest beer in the brewery.
Okay.
Wow.
Years. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's cool. Even if it's 7 people who want it, I mean, that's
sorry, 10 now. I got you guys.
Yeah.
3 more.
Well, they like the ones who love this style really, really love this style.
Yes.
So I'm not I'm not surprised to hear that.
And one of the things that home delivery has allowed us to do, because we still have quite a buoyant home delivery. Obviously, it was everything in Costco, but in COVID, it allows you to get to know your consumers. So we've kept this core of, you know, home consumers, and people do buy this by the case or the crate even, which is 32, and they come back every sort of 6 or 7 weeks, you know.
Interesting.
Their beer. So
is it like a one a night type of thing for those type of folks?
I think so. I think so. The really interesting trend, what I'm seeing now, is within non-alcoholic. So our non-alcoholic, our Pearson IPA non-alcoholic, which I can't keep in stock, is such a big seller.
Damn.
We thought it's really interesting. When we launched it, we really believed it was the non-alcoholic drinker that was going to get it. And we have that drink. But now what I've noticed over the last 6 months is, you know, we sell a beer in an 8-pack at the brewery, and it's very common that there's 6 beers and 2 non-alcs in the 8-pack. And the non-alc is now our 5th best selling can in the bottle shop amongst maybe 12 or 14, depending on how many seasons we have. And we used to, like a month or 2 ago, say, you know, that's a non-alcoholic. And what we're finding is that people are having 4 beers in a night, and one of them is a non-alc. Really, really interesting. We thought, okay, we got to have this non-alcoholic drinker. And we had people, I'm not going to lie, there's people who come in and just buy 6 or 8 or, you know, a case, and that's what they drink. But where the volume is really taking off, and then it's a really interesting trend of people who are still drinking as much as they used to, but they're pulsing in these non-alcs as part of their drinking, whether it's at home or a bar or something like that. It's really, well, we see it at home, obviously. It's totally fascinating to watch, and really, like you see it. They take 2 best, they take 2 food truck, they take 2 Pearson, and then they take 2 non-alcs. And you know, they're just, that's their drinking. You know, it's really, really interesting to see.
We have a friend, Matt from Vox and Hops, a podcast in Quebec, and he goes pretty hard. He always calls himself the beer magician because he makes beers disappear. He's hilarious. And he says he tricks himself when he's drunk by drinking non-alcoholic beers to calm himself down a little bit, and so he can keep going, so it just like doesn't just keep crushing. And I was like, that's pretty smart. I don't drink them like that. I have them on my nights off, and I love non-alcoholic beers. I feel like they're a fantastic addition to, like, I don't know, if you're trying to, like, I have a couple nights during the week where I never drink, and those nights I would have either, like, it's nice to just open a can and have that sort of like thing that we're all used to, pour it into a glass and sort of have that experience that's beer, basically, you know, beer without getting drunk, and it's super nice. So I'm not surprised, I guess, that people are getting involved in that. I feel it's a little bit of an acquired taste. I found like you have to sort of approach it a bit differently, but once you're in the game, it's fire.
Yeah, and it's just it's interesting. It's pulsing in and out. Like I've actually had to bring in, so a non-alc has to also be pasteurized because otherwise it'll explode on a warm shelf, and it's a challenge. We don't make it in house. So it's a challenge to make a good non-alc. It's very expensive. And I've actually had to bring in other non-alcs from other breweries and Harmon's just to slow my rate of sale down because I can't keep up with it.
Oh shit.
But that it's just really interesting. It's the one, if you were to say like Wiener, what's the trend you're noticing? It's not non-alc to the non-alc drinker. It's non-alc to the beer drinker. That's really interesting right now.
Non-alc to the beer drinker.
I just made that up. I should probably call my trademark lawyer. But yeah, anyways, it is, and it's exactly like your guy who's fooling himself. You know, it is that. It's you know, I'm gonna have 4 beers, you know, but I'm gonna be okay because I'm gonna pulse in 1 or 2 non-alcs.
Yeah, just to balance it all out. Are you into that at all, Dan?
It's tough too, because like now that I'm so into beer and like my kind of, I guess, journey with beer is, you know, went to university, was drinking what I could afford, dollar beers, Laker. I think I was crushing some McClays at McMaster. There was actually a brewery. I don't even know if it was called a brewery. It was called Grapes and Hops out in Hamilton. I don't even know if it's still around.
Oh, like a beer, like a beer and wine shop where you can make it.
It looked like a house, and they made kegs. So when we had keggers at McMaster, we would get. It was the cheapest thing out there. And it ranged from 5% to 13%, and they couldn't tell you which keg was what. But an hour into your kegger, you could tell which keg you had and which keg you didn't have. And it tasted terrible. But sometimes we would splurge and get the keg of PBR. And then now that I'm at Zenan and I see all these breweries and like, you know, you guys, I think all 3 of you have been in love with the craft beer industry for a decade plus, 2 decades now, maybe. I'm kind of new to it. Like I'm still in the honeymoon phase. Like I love, my girlfriend knows if we're going to a new town, we're going to a brewery.
Nice.
I want to go. It's like, it's the amalgamation of like what that little town's about, the people that are there, the beers that are there, the owner. Like I love, and I'm still falling in love, I think, with this craft beer industry. So for me, like I go to the LCBO now, or I go to a bottle shop. I'm there for 45 minutes. Like I'm like, oh, like I've seen this. I want to try that. I want to try this. I would love to have 2-3 beers every night and just be able to try them, see what they're like. I also am calorie conscious. I'm trying, you know, want to stay in shape, don't want to be out of shape. So that's where I kind of struggle with it, where it's like, yeah, I would love to have beers every night. And Craig, like I see your Instagram, I'm like, man, is this guy crushing beers every night? Because like
5 nights.
I'm pretty jealous if he's crushing beers every night, because
I would die.
So yeah, so I guess it's, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's trying to find that balance of having the experience of tasting an IPA like Pearson, but not having the effects of, you know, I'm also running a business and I got to get up at, I'm a morning person. I feel like when I go to bed, Craig, or when I wake up, Craig's going to bed. From what I can see, like I'm up.
He lives on a different time zone.
Yeah,
he lives on a different time zone.
I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and by 8:30, I'm yawning. Like if I got nothing to do, I'm going to bed. Like,
I'm up at 4:30 taking a piss. If you want to know.
I'm not there. I'm not there yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Yeah. So yeah. So I feel like, and I think you guys talked about it in your last podcast, like how much, you know, the volume of beer that's being drank is going down. I think it's the switch to like ready to drinks and seltzers and the growth of that, but it's also, I think people are a lot more health conscious, and people are trying to get stuff done. You're trying to pay the bills. You can't spend every Sunday now, you know, crashed on the couch and not doing anything, because people have kids and people have bills and they got to get stuff done. So,
and there's a generational shift. Gen Z is drinking less.
Yeah. It's also, you know, guys, like, and Craig, you know, we were chatting because I was in the States like a ton this summer. It's hard looking at a shelf now and wondering what the hell is going on. Like, I gotta tell you, like, you know, I don't know if I shared this with you, but for my kids' baseball, I was in Florida for, I don't know, 6 weeks this summer, in and out, and I went into Publix, and they had Dogfish Head, the 60-minute cans, the Quench Ale cans, and the 90-minute bottles, all buy one get one free, all fresh.
That's why you had the trunk full.
That's what I had the trunk. You saw the picture, right?
Holy
shit! The point I'm trying to make too is it is becoming you know, Dan, you're new to the industry, but it's also so fucking hard to navigate through the industry now. You have so many things on a shelf that, you know, you can't even make sense of what it is. You know, you're picking up a label and you're like, what is this? You know, like we've made it as craft brewers, we've made it hard to have new people enter the industry because
it's intimidating as fuck.
It's intimidating as fuck. That is exactly it. That's your new podcast. It's intimidating as fuck. And also, like, you know, I'm the guy looking at shelf life. Like, that's the most important thing to me, like, over anything else. And, you know, I spent like 2 hours at the Total Wine and More. I walked out of there with Dogfish had buy one, get one free, which is insanity. And I bought a 12-pack of Warsteiner. It was a seasonal Warsteiner pack that had like a 15-month shelf life on it. And they put a cloudy Pilsner in it. They put a Dunkel in it. And they put Warsteiner Gold in 355s for like $23. And I was like, great, give me this. So we're doing a shitty job. Even there's all these other outside things. There's economic pressures. There's people are drinking less. But we're doing a shitty job where RTDs are doing a very good job because you look at it and you know exactly what the hell it is.
Yeah, and then it's regional. Like I spent probably half the summer in the States as well. I added that up, but all in different places and in places that I don't go regularly. So when I'm going somewhere new, like Cincinnati, Indianapolis, fucking Pittsburgh, like I don't know what's going on there. I have no clue. So I have to either post about it to get people to tell me what's up, or I'll Google it. And now the best place ever is Reddit. There's always a Reddit a thread that's like best breweries in X, and then I'll go through. I would have already looked and gone through the Instagrams and seen. Then I want to go and get the cosign from all the beer nerds. But like that takes time, and not everyone has the time. So if you pull up, it's like
location. Where the fuck are you? Like, are you driving into an industrial estate in Pittsburgh? Right? Like.
Yep. Yeah. Or, I mean, or if you're just downtown, say if you want to be lazy, I was looking at breweries to visit, but then also say if you like don't do all of that and you pull up to what you're talking about, a supermarket or a specialty beer store, and you're looking at the shelf and you just turn, you're like, what the fuck? Like, if you don't understand the landscape, you walk out. Like,
or you're just completely firing in the dark.
And then you can win, but you can lose real hard because there's some shelf turds in a lot of these places because the way the distro works, they get shit like late. So you got to check dates, and not every can has date codes. So then you got to go to their Instagram and see when they released it. So that's why you're in there for 45 minutes. And I do the exact same fucking thing. And it's even worse. There's a place in near Buffalo that's, I forgot what it's called, Premium Wine or something.
Yeah, Premier Gourmet.
I think you told me about it last episode. I fucking went there and it was something like, I don't know, say call it May, and it's a walk-in fridge, and I didn't bring a jacket, and I was in there for 20 minutes picking up the 4-pack, like shivering, like, oh fuck, my hands don't work.
But you can find a couple good ones. But
no, it was good. I got some fire. I really did. They had some great stuff, but in the fridge, like,
you're fucked.
Because if you're trying to look for dates, and I'm not going to go in, walk out, the staff are going to be like, sir, what are you doing? So it's like it is a lot, and like, you know, at least the LCBOs are a little more friendly to that for the noobs, I guess. In comparison, maybe it's the walk-in fridges aren't at fucking 0 degrees type of thing, but it's just a bit of an ordeal. Like if you're new in Ontario where you live, say, that's one thing, but then if you're traveling, that's a whole other thing. And if you already know the space, like we go to Buffalo all the time, so we know the vibes, but if you're going somewhere new, it's just like I found this summer. I was really not out of my depth at all because I know what to do, but it's work. And I was like, guess I got to do this again. And like I met up with a friend of a friend in Atlanta, and he helped me a lot. So I was like, this made this so much easier now. And then
it's good to have a guide. It's good
to have a guide. Because you want, even if you find the ones, you need the cosign. This is all just speaking to your experience, Dan, and all the craziness, because you're in this new world when all of us maybe were a little while back, and it wasn't this hectic back in fucking 2011. And Aiden, I know you were long before us. And it's sort of like, all right. And even in Atlanta, when I was cruising, I went to one place I was going to go to. And then I did just, my favorite thing ever, you pull up Google Maps, you type in brewery or cafe, whatever, totally. You look at each one. And then you go to the Instagram and make sure it's the vibe that you want. And I found a couple of extra breweries that had Oktoberfest beers on tap. And I was like, hell yeah. I was just with the dog. My girlfriend was at a conference. So I was like, I'm cruising. Let's just go. And I found a whole bunch of really fun places that even the gentleman I hung out with didn't even tell me about. And that worked out awesome. And I even bought some to go from some of those places. Like, all right, that's sick. So sometimes it's serendipity where you sort of like stumble upon some places, or someone will tell you something, or you'll go into the beer store and you'll be like, hey man, what's popping right now? What are the kids drinking? And then they'll put you onto it. And it's just like sometimes it works out, and you buy something, you get a 4-pack, you're like, oh man, this sucks ass. Like, and you got to deal with it.
$22 for it. I know.
You pay $20 for this 4-pack of shit, and you try and trade it to someone back here. Like, hey, got this fight. Yeah. It's hit or miss. Like, all I can say is that the amount that we pay for a 4-pack probably wouldn't even get you in the door of a winery. And if you're trying to discover new wines and you're buying just random bottles, that dice roll is much higher. At the very least, you can trade it out or something like that. So it's not as bad.
Is this stressing you out at all, Dan?
I mean, if you guys are stressed, like, what the hell chance do I have to like figure this out?
Good stress.
Just like
it's good stress.
I mean, we're exhausted by it. I was in last year. I was in Asheville, North Carolina, which if you want to go to one of the coolest beer towns
ever
in America, Asheville is there.
Facts.
Burial. Had the best time. And then, anyways, I was driving this summer. I was in Charlotte, and I'm Googling best breweries, and Burial was in Charlotte. It didn't even matter. I went right to Burial. And I was like, I didn't even bother with the other Charlotte breweries because
resident culture.
Yeah, it was killer. And Dan, if you want to take your girlfriend on a trip, go to Asheville. Like, not only is there Sierra Nevada and New Belgium on the outskirts of it, but the breweries and the restaurants and the music scene. It's just
all right. I got to find some stuff that she likes in the town, and then we go there after. We do what she likes, and then we end up at Sierra Nevada and stuff.
That's the best.
But I am going to where am I going? South Carolina, Folly Beach, Charleston.
So that's some great stuff.
Do you guys have any recos from Charleston?
I do. I was in Savannah the other week, like 2 weeks ago, and Savannah is my favorite place on earth, and it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Charleston, and people kept saying, and they had a lot of beers from Charleston there. There wasn't much good stuff. Only Two Tides, and Savannah was exceptional. But I think I could get you a couple names if you're going to be in Charleston. It should be. I heard good things. But it's kind of part of the fun. Even like Nate was saying, it's not like kind of Aiden was more saying it's exhausting, and it's kind of that. But if you frame it that it's fun in the discovery. It's okay if things. This is my biggest problem. I think I've said this on the pod. I truly believe we've got some of the best beer in the world in Ontario, like truly in across all styles, all different types of breweries. So whenever I go to the States, 8 times out of 10, I'm kind of disappointed. But I've had to get out of that mind state to be like, no. It's the exploration. If it's good, then yes, it's a bonus. And then, God, it's a good day when you go and you're having these 5 beers. And if it's not, then you're like, well, you know what? This is a cool town. This brewery's pretty cool.
But it was still fun to be here.
Exactly. And you know what? What did you spend? Like, even if it's $7 to $10 and whatever, cool. You're going to finish it and you either try something different or you move on to the next because there's almost always a next.
Yeah.
Even if there's not another brewery, there's going to be a beer bar. And the great thing about the States is like almost every restaurant will have some sort of reasonable local craft beer list as well. And that makes it a little more like it's a little more advanced than here as far as that. Like, there's some great spots here. I feel like most restaurants, Aiden, you can probably speak to that more. Most restaurants probably have a decent beer list in Ontario, just speaking locally.
It'll be interesting to see with Molson divesting themselves of Hop Valley, Revolver, and a few of those brands to Foray, what that means for their portfolio, because they were really playing off that with having
Hop Valley was everywhere.
Craft, it wasn't, and so that's all gone. So I don't know what Molson's going to replace those taps with, because they don't necessarily. There's only so many
give them up, right?
You can bring. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, if you're at I'm not going to name a chain, but if you're at a mass-produced chain that, serves refrigerated food, look, I'll tell you this much as a total beer geek. When I go to some of these huge chains and I'm with, my kids or my friends or wherever, we're in the middle of nowhere, I'm still even asking for a sample of Creamore to taste if it's drinkable. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even like, or Steam Whistle, which is like, oh, again, one of my favorites. Like I'm more testing. Is it clean? Have they sold a keg in the last 6 weeks of this? I don't need to taste the Coors Light, but like, you know, that's where I'm at now. It's not even like, okay, you have a craft beer, or you even have a mainstream craft. Can I taste it just to make sure that it's not fucking 5 months old?
Yeah, and it's not to see if you like the beer, like you know what a fucking Steam Whistle tastes like, but it's like, you know, how are you serving it?
Yes.
I never thought of that. That's such a smart idea.
Yeah, that's brilliant, actually.
I don't know though personally, and this is probably another like statement/question. Like I don't know what a bad one. I mean, maybe if I tried it, I'd know, but I couldn't like the off flavors that are driven by dirty line,
like by a dirty line. Yeah.
You
can tell. First of all, you can tell by the glass. I think Dan will tell you that right now. You can tell there's no nucleation. It's flat as hell. You know, it's,
or if you see the dirty bubbles up the side of the glass.
Yeah, you know, a dead giveaway still has a Caesar rim, but I mean, you know, but like even Creamore, like there's a lot, you know. Diacetyl, which we all know what diacetyl, like that butterscotch flavor.
Yeah.
It comes out. It's the number one thing when you learn how to taste beer. You know, the number one thing that you learn is how to taste diacetyl. And actually, it's interesting because some people can't actually taste diacetyl, but those who can taste diacetyl can really taste diacetyl, which is like it's like sucking on a Werther's. You will find that in a couple of the beers we just talked about. It's not the brewery. It's a dirty line. It's a 3-month or 4-month-old keg. So, you know, I'm just so far down the hole. But when I go to a chain and I'm in St. Mary's, Ontario, and I got, you know, with a bunch of people and they're all ordering whatever, I'm the first one to say, can I have a taster of this beer? Not because I don't think that I know what the beer tastes like. I just want to make sure it tastes good if I'm going to spend $12 on a 20-ounce pint.
Huh. Honestly, I think that's
so
sage
smart.
advice. That's really, really good. It's never something I've ever considered. It would just be like, oh, thank fuck, they got Steam Whistle. Okay.
Sure.
Like,
by the way, if they don't give you a sample, then they're fucked.
Yeah.
Some places, sorry, we don't do samples. I'm like, I'm not here. I can afford a beer. I'm not here to drink 12 samples and then leave.
Like, give me a Coke in a shaker glass. God damn it. It's wild. How do you guys feel about a brief bathroom break and then keep it cruising?
And then crack the next beer because I'm going to destroy myself if I drink much more of this triple.
Yeah, 31-10, buddy. 31-10.
All right, we're doing it. We're doing it. What does that mean? 31-10? Is that
the Bills score right now?
Oh, the Bills winning?
Yeah, killing them.
Yeah, who they playing?
Miami. It's a good game.
Oh, I like Miami too. Damn it. Okay, go Bills because everyone here likes Bills. All right, fuck yeah. Alrighty, boys.
And we're back.
How we feel about next one? What do we? This is number 4, so we got to go number 5.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm sorry, Dan, and I will tell you that Craig and Nathan, I haven't even tried it yet. This is Ides 100.
Here we go.
This is the end of the series. So the book is Toronto and 100 Beers. Really, my partner and our art director driving this, but this is being launched next week, and it's a story of Robert Henderson, who was the first brewer in Toronto, had a brewery in 1804. As we know, the only people allowed to drink beer in what was then at the time Fort York were the British troops. And Robert Henderson had a brewery in Kingston, and he brought his beers over by horse and carriage to feed the troops who were allowed 6 pints a day, which is where the Molson Division 6 pints came from. And he said, this is fucking stupid. I should just build a brewery. So he built a brewery at Sherborne, Adelaide, which is where Henderson at one point was very close to getting a location if it wasn't for Brad Lamb, who kind of fucked things up. So we ended up with our Sturley location, which worked out. But this is an ode to Robert Henderson, the first brewer in Toronto. I believe I haven't even tried this, guys. Like we packaged this last week. We put it away because we have the beer launch next Thursday.
On my birthday.
On your happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
It is,
You're not getting it yet.
I believe it's Dan, I feel terrible. You don't have one. I'll say
that's all right, man.
It's 6%, I think, is it?
7.
The can says 7.
7. So
which glass should it go in, by the way?
I think that the Nonic pint, I think.
Or is that one for the for best?
What do you think? One of the
either one.
Right?
So I said this one for best, but whatever you guys want.
Yeah, this is a schooner. This is what they would have drank the beer out of back in the day. To be honest.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And yeah, I actually forgot. I didn't bring it myself. So you are the first two people to try it. I'm not lying.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I got about 60 cases sat in the brewery. My partner and I have not tried it. I imagine Trevor, our head brewer, did. And this is it. This is the end of the Ides. So we got to 100. We're still standing. And tell me, walk me through it, guys.
All right.
Paint us a word picture.
I'm excited.
I'm definitely going to paint the picture. So it's a stock ale. So do you want to tell us? You know what? The only stock ale that I can recall is Mill Street.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I could be wrong here, but it's a very traditional Ontario unique style of beer.
Really?
Fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's what they used to kind of make back there.
Do you know what it is?
Story behind Best started as an ESB, an extra special bitter.
We talked about that in the last episode, which was very cool to get.
We call it an amber ale. But this is the original. This is what we felt Robert Henderson brewed. Obviously, we filtered it. His beer would have been cloudy or even in cask back then. But you guys have the first two. I'm feeling terrible. I didn't give Dan one yesterday, but this is honestly,
it looks great in the mug.
It does, doesn't it? Look at this mug.
It looks fucking gorgeous.
I also just want to shout Dan out for that the decal just at the front there. I didn't know that was really great use of the real estate. I thought that was fire. It's this beautiful the dimpled mug. So we're looking at like a nice sort of like mostly translucent kind of like caramel color with a nice fluffy off-white head. The nose is good.
Can I interrupt? Can I just take a picture of you guys with the book and the beer for my partner, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
I would really appreciate that. I'm fanboying out a little bit here. Let me just send that just so he knows.
There we go.
Thanks, guys. Let me know how it tastes.
All right, so the nose, definitely like caramel, bready nose. Let me see if I can get this whole... Oh, look at this glass. Perfect. This would be definitely... I was going to try
It's called a schooner, right, Dan? This is a schooner?
Yeah.
Schooner is the most Aussiest thing ever.
Also a big like Nova Scotia thing.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
Schooner's like a Sydney thing. So we're from Melbourne, so we don't fuck with that. But schooners are like the difference between like a pot and a pint. And it's like a midway between. But this is fitting the look, it's still with room for the head. Definitely what'd you call it, Dan? Like a 16.75 ounce right here.
Yeah, 17 ounce probably.
Shall we dive in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, enjoy, boys.
All right, that is.
Yeah, I'll send you some, man. I promise. Okay, I feel terrible.
No worries.
With a kiss the can for Dan. Okay, this is great. This is like spiced bread, like rye bread.
Yes,
bit peppery, very smooth. Does not taste for like the style. This style would probably be a little more challenging to hold the 7% smoothly, and it absolutely does.
This, like this to me, it's more like an ESB than an amber ale, but but also has like that like kind of an elevated spice note to it. A bit of contrasting sweetness with like with some caramel notes to it, but it's not an overpowering sweetness. Like it actually finishes quite dry. Like there is a sweetness to it, but it's got like a nice bit of spice to to kind of counter it.
Yeah, the spices is definitely it's not even in Untapped yet. That's how fresh this is.
No. You are literally drinking the first two cans. I'm not exaggerating.
Wow, I
have not tried this.
Damn, this is special.
Partner.
Oh, I'm keeping this on it's going on the shelf with the book.
I'm not this has not left the brewery. In fact, Dan wouldn't have got this because the staff wouldn't even know where this beer is. It's buried in my cooler, hidden, because we packaged it about 8 or 9 days ago, maybe 10 days ago, and then we chose we're going to save it for the launch. So it's not even available on our website. I haven't
packaged this. Okay, this I don't know if this is wrong or if it's a bit smudged. It looks like it says 12th of August, which is today. That's not possible.
August, yeah. This is we're in September now.
Oh, it says says August 22nd is what it says on my can.
Yeah, that would be right. That would be right. August 22nd. So this is only 3 weeks. We parked it for the launch. We wanted to make sure. Like again, I haven't tasted it. Like you are literally.
It's delicious.
This hasn't gone to anybody. Like I think I made 60 cases of this stuff.
Damn, this is exciting.
Yeah, this is fucking cool, man. This is it's like I almost feel it's nostalgic in the sense of the Mill Street times. Like when I got into beer in 2011 in Toronto, Tank House, exactly. And they had their stock out, but it was like more like a lager type of thing.
Yeah, that was more like a golden clear light lager kind of thing. Like this is much more like Tank House than their stock ale was.
Absolutely. It's super unique. It's I feel like it's like a cool on brand way to bring this bad boy home as far as the Ides series with a book, which also like fear, we're obviously doing a podcast with like glasses that are all custom done, and then we've got the first. This is a big deal tonight. We got the book, and then which I haven't really seen. No one's done a book because of the series of beer that's dedicated to the city.
And the publisher approached us. This wasn't us. Like they came to us and they're like, "Hey, we want to do a book for Christmas. Do you guys have any ideas?" And we're like, "Well, we're wrapping this series up about Toronto." So
right, wasn't that kind of vibes. No, this is special, man. This is like a really fantastic way, and I feel like if there's anyone who's been into beer, maybe a little touch before Hendo came around, they'll have a deep appreciation for this. This is my immediate feeling is nostalgia. And I feel like that's really cool. And back into a time when I was learning about beer, and I learned about beer in Toronto before I moved to Montreal. And I really feel like that was a special time because it was, whatever, a dozen fucking breweries around that were easy to get type of thing. And this is kind of more reflective of the type of stuff that you would get at the time, which makes complete sense for the series and particularly for the final beer of the series.
Yeah.
That lasted how many years until this one? Was it the full?
We'll do the math. I mean,
100.
100. So 8 plus years, I guess, right? Like 8.5 years.
It's crazy.
Well, let's see. Like we can flip to beer one in the book. When was that? Ides number 1 was May 2016.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're right. 8 years, 8.5 years, and almost 8 years, 5 months.
And the series just ran its course. It became too much work for us. We, pre-COVID, as I told you guys, we do an Ides launch and we get 60, 80 people out. Post-COVID, we get, 10 people out. I mean, the bar is always busy, but people weren't coming out for it. We were just exhausted by it. We always wanted to launch at the beginning of the month. At the middle of the month, it was too many, it was too cumbersome to be able to do that. And we felt times have changed. So the idea, by the way, I should tell you, is that our one-offs going forward, we're trying to produce about 3 a month. One of them will always be an Ides. We're just going to bring one back.
Okay, so
I love that.
They're not gone forever. It's just
Yep.
There's going to be now repeats because you've already done them. They'll be able to be
Trevor's interpretation of a beer we did 6 years ago. New brewer, old brewer, and stuff like that. But yeah, you guys, it's funny because I wanted this to be part of the tasting, and I just got so bogged down with rush day. And I remember emailing Jason, who's our e-commerce guy who shipped them to your house. I was like, tell me Ides 100 got in there. And, kudos to Jason, who may or may not listen to this at the end, because he's the one who ships you guys this separately.
Shout out to Jason.
I'm sorry again. I feel like shit, man.
I'm really glad this made it in because I'm fucking loving this. This is
fantastic. And I think the other serendipitous part of it is that Dan threw in the extra glass because Dan, you made glasses for 6, and you were like, you said to me yesterday.
True, eh?
In my head, this was I didn't really count because we already had the 7 beers, including the bottle. So I thought it was just part of it, and I didn't really understand what you were saying. So I was like, "Oh, I got the dimple glass too. Is the extra?" Eh? And I was like, "Yeah," because that was obviously one of the first ones I noticed, and this was the one my girlfriend Tiff pulled out. Was like, "Yo, this is sick."
Yeah. I threw it in there just because I love the mug, and I was like, I had the decals made. I was like, shit, I'm gonna throw these on, throw them out to these guys. They'll appreciate it. But
it's fucking dope.
just everything about this experience, drinking it out of this mug with the logo on there, the final Ides with the book. I wish you guys had it too.
And talk about serendipitous timing. Like two additional things. Like one, we've now got this dimpled mug right in time for fest beer season.
Yeah,
yes.
which is fucking fantastic.
I didn't think of that.
And the timing of even this recording, this episode is going to be dropping next Wednesday, September 18th, the day before this beer is to launch.
Get out of town.
Hey, Dan, what's all the stuff on the bottom, buddy?
So it comes from the manufacturer. To be honest, I couldn't tell you what all the numbers mean. Yeah, I honestly don't know.
There's a lot on there, hey?
Anything European made seems to have these markings. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they are.
That's pretty cool
for you.
I could have made it up. I could have made it up, but yeah, I don't.
I wouldn't be mad if you did make it up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep going on about it, but this is fucking great. Like,
yeah,
this is really, really great. This is how you bring this bitch home with 100 beers in this series, man. Like, that's pretty crazy. And even just impressive that you guys even got this far with 100 beers in a series over 8 years that were consistent. That means there's 100 Toronto stories.
We could have gone on, to be honest. There's a lot, and actually, if you read my my afterword in the book, which is where I got my 2 cents, and there's Ernie Witt. Like, there's a lot. Like, we never touched Rob Ford.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted to do a beer called Blasting on the Danforth, right? So that would have been great. My partner and I, we've been really good partners, and we've had a few fights over the years, but I really wanted to do a beer about the IKEA monkey, and he was really opposed to that because he didn't think it was a story. But Toronto continues. I'm an implant, I'm born and raised in Vancouver, and I love the city. But it was just time. It was time. It was time to pass it. And if other people want to do it, I'm proud we made it to 100, and we're going to continue to bring them back. I
love that you're doing that.
But it's hard. It's hard, and it ran its course, and we got to 100, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to it's not completely forget that they happened, and it's even cool. What was the one we were talking about that you did? You're bringing back number 51, right? The Hopfenweisse. Oh, we just drank that one. Yeah,
the Radicle.
Yeah.
From 2020, which obviously makes sense 4 years ago. So it's like being able to do that, and you kept the same artwork too, which is.
Listen, I'm gonna share something with you guys.
Yeah,
we have a warehouse of labels. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So if I can save a couple pennies and we can use a label, and Trevor can make the beer, like, I'm using the fucking labels. Like I got a warehouse of labels. So that's the sales owner in me, and
I'm not mad at that.
He's smiling because we got to save some stuff. But through that 100, we touched so many different styles. I don't think we ever made the same style twice. And we made some bad ones. I'm not gonna lie.
You said that last time.
Yeah. So,
I respect the honesty.
Yeah, the one with the feet is amongst the worst beers I've ever fucking had, ever.
Should bring it back.
Yeah, it was the story of it was supposed to be a coffee shop that became it was the first coffee shop in Toronto, Dan, which is near St. Lawrence Market. Actually became where you put dead bodies because the plague hit, or the Spanish flu hit. The Spanish flu hit, and it became a
morgue.
A ward, yeah. Anyways, but we knocked it out of the park. I mean, look, guys, I'm not bullshitting you. I haven't even tried it. It hasn't left the brewery, so you got cans 1 and 2.
We're very grateful and feel very honored, man.
This is a fucking treat, man. It really is. I love it. I really love it.
This is beautiful. I'm actually extra excited that there's a second can that we can slowly sip on as maybe the winter the weather starts to crispen up a little bit. I feel like this is our Nate and I are obsessed with fest beers and Marzens and stuff like that. So this is in that vein, and as he mentioned, that's perfect. We got this glass now for all of this, and it's very cool. We're very grateful. We're not
my pleasure. And I think it's if you want to look to styles, it broke my heart that Southern Tier's pumpkin beers came out the first week of August. I don't know if you guys saw that, but You know, so when you buy your Marisons and your Fest beers, you know, look to the local craft guys because they're the ones producing it. You know, like I think Sierra Nevada, which is, you know, my favorite brewery in the world, their Oktoberfest beer came out in August. And I'm like, I get it because they got to fill the pipeline, but still, like, fuck, guys, come on, man, like,
relax.
You know,
yeah, it's up there. That's up there with Great Lakes being cheeky as fuck with their with their pumpkin beer coming out in early August too.
Oh, it breaks my heart, man.
It's a little much. I mean, it was nice being in the States in mid-August and being able to find some Oktoberfest beers, but it did feel weird when it was 35 degrees and I'm like drinking this creamy malty thing out of a mug.
I get it.
All right, if we're okay, can we move? I don't like Dan not having a beer. I feel
okay. Let's move on.
The Jewish guilt of me is like pummeling through me here right now. So
no, you know what? You're
100% right.
You're a better person than we are for thinking of Dan.
Yeah,
so
look at us.
We're being pieces of shit. We should absolutely move on.
So I think I'd like to. You guys all have Xanabrew?
We have Xanabrew, but should we do best first, or do you want to wrap best after Xanabrew?
We'll finish with best.
Okay, no, that's a good plan. That's a good plan.
So Xanabrew, you guys, there's obviously, well, I don't know if you know this, there's a Rush song called Xanadu. So
I do.
It's an ode to Rush. This was brewed.
Oh shit! I don't have a bottle opener. BRB. Keep talking.
Pictures. This was number 3, so this is probably at least a year old now.
Okay.
10.5%. This one, the artwork is amazing. This is my favorite artwork. That's X1. Did you not get? Fuck that up. That is Xanabrew. Oh, X1. Okay, sorry. We're drinking X1. We're not drinking Xanabrew. This is X1.
Oh, this is different.
This makes sense.
This is Xanabrew II.
It's a Xanabrew series, but it's X1.
Did we have this last time, or is this different?
No, you had the moving pictures last time.
Oh, shit. I thought this was the same one.
No, I don't think so. Or my guy fucked up.
You know what?
I'm supposed to be drinking Xanabrew.
Hold on, let me check.
I think you in the original email you told me X1.
I'm exhausted, boys.
No, dude, don't even
We're
sweat
all
it.
tired.
I think this is the same. This is the one I've checked into it before, and it was May, which is when we did our last pod. So this is the one, Xanabrew 2 X1.
Okay, we're drinking the same beer. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I didn't know there was other ones. That's even cooler.
Yeah, there's been a series. There's been 4. This has been the second most popular. We fucked up. They should have sent you Xanabrew, which was the one before this 6 months. Nathan, you had this one already.
This is the one we had last.
Yeah, we had this one on the last pod.
Yeah, you're drinking it 5 months later. So
that's fine.
That's super fine.
10.5 probably weighs in at 11.5%. Now it's interesting. At Rush Day, I had to teach people how to drink this type of beer. So it's very interesting. These beers, when we launch these one-offs, the glass sells incredibly well. So I'll order off Dan every time we do this about 720 limited edition glasses with the branding, and they're all gone within 4 weeks.
Amazing.
So this is really the collector thing. We do a glass and a bottle. I assume we're pouring into this one, right?
Yes.
I'm passing on this one, just so you know, because I have a big day tomorrow. So
you're a responsible man, Aiden. Don't let anyone.
I'm not responsible. I'm irresponsible to say the least, but I'll feign responsibility.
Just this glass. Look at this beautiful.
Yeah, this is a big boy beer, as we talked about last time. This is lots of booze. It changes as it warms up in the glass. It was interesting, even teaching Rush fans about how to pour this beer, like what Craig's doing right now and making sure you get the yeast at the bottom and stuff like that.
Look at that head, man.
Yeah.
Oh, stunning.
So I hold back about 100 cases of each of these. It went Moving Pictures, Signals, Xanabrew, X1. Then we brought back Moving Pictures. The first Moving Pictures and Signals are all totally sold out. I may have maybe 5 cases of Signals buried somewhere. There's only about 50 cases of this left. It's actually hitting the SAQ. Just took 100 cases. It's hitting the SAQ in September, October.
That's dope. That will fly out.
Yeah. Rush is huge in Quebec.
They love that shit out there.
So they trail the LCBO, obviously, but Yeah, and the whole thesis came out of Getty and his love of wine, and then wanting to do a collector series. So, like I said, we've got about warehouse. It's not a warehouse. It's a storage locker. I got about 60 cases in a storage locker somewhere. So, yeah. And Dan nailed the glass, obviously.
Oh yeah, Dan, tell us about the glass for this beautiful gem.
Yeah, so stemmed. It's some people call it a Bristol. Some people call it a Bruegel. Kind of similar to the Belgian, but it goes a little in at the top, similar to kind of like the IPA to bring those aromas to the nose. So like Aiden said, you want going to the bottom, keep the head, and you can smell that black cherry there.
You sure can. It's a rich nose.
Oh, this is like sherry. This is like a fireplace.
Yeah.
Like a not winter warmer. It's just like such a welcoming, warming beer that's got these fantastic, delicate, like plummy, jammy, cakey fruit notes in it. That this glass kind of like, I guess, like helps it sort of, like you said, Dan, like kind of pushes it out with that little the little turn in at the top there.
Yeah.
And I was actually curious on your thinking here, because you went with just the Get It In You on this one, which I thought was an interesting choice in a positive way. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I saw all the logos, was putting the glassware together, kind of had some with the BAOS, some with both a bit, had the mug with just the logo on it there. And then, kind of similar to the glass. It's thin, it's kind of clean. And I thought, what could we do to just kind of keep it clean without kind of a big logo there? And I figured we would just put Get It In You.
Man,
you're so thoughtful.
Your artistic choices on all of the glasses were really, really on point. I think you fucking nailed it, man.
Yeah, I don't have any like pushback on any of it. It's so I'm trying to think of a different word because it's kind of bored, but it was well thought through for every single one. And even just this one, I was curious what the reasoning was. Like, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just get it in you on a beer and you just got the little leaf thing. The malt, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, and I like that because it keeps it clean and simple, like this glass needs to be, and like the types of beer that will be in this glass.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's
a couple
so
of
cool.
like on that note, like a couple of good shout outs here. Like the IPA glass, this one seems like an obvious choice to me. Like the BAOS with the with the thing in the Get It In You. It seems like it's an absolute perfect choice for this, because especially if I've got like a bright yellow hazy in this, that is just gonna pop so much,
so hard.
It's just gorgeous. But the second one. This the wheat beer glass is fucking money, because we've got the exact same thing on one side, but then the accentuated the malt my glare is causing a problem here to try to show it on the video, but
you're good. I got it.
But like we've got the big malt Mike logo on the other side. It's just gorgeous when that has a full pour in it, and a Weiss beer generally tends to have like a really 1.5 2 inch or more that like head of foam on it. That's gonna pop so gorgeously that the artistic choices on here, fucking money.
Yeah.
No, I knew you guys, if anyone, you guys would appreciate it, so it was worth the extra work and to put it in there. And then even when I sent you guys the photos, like I didn't think you were expecting it. Just getting the responses, like for me, like, and it's the same with working with Henderson or working with and partnering with some of these breweries, because Aiden said it, like if you're thinking of opening a brewery right now, like there's going to be 20 people telling you like, why the hell would you do that? And it's a labor of love, right? And like when I go visit a brewery and you ask them one question and they're talking for an hour about why they do this and why they love it, and that's really, I think, the difference that I think myself and my partner are bringing to Zenan is like, we understand the passion that guys like Aiden and other people have for their brewery. We understand the passion that they have behind their brands, behind their logos. And it's like, we want to put that in there. And like, if you guys get something that you don't like, or it's coming off, or something happened, like okay, we're going to fix it because we want to keep working with you guys and like build that partnership. So yeah, I don't know, like I've got a passion for it. I know our clients have a passion for it, and we just want to make sure that we're delivering on everything that they're thinking, because, you know, like we said, it's a labor of love. And when they get that, and it's the hardest ones too are like the smallest orders. Like someone orders 48 glasses and 2 of them don't look good. They're like, 2 of these 48 don't look good. And you're like it's 2 glasses, but like if someone's ordering 1,000, they're not even looking at them. If they're ordering 48, they're checking every one of them, and they're calling you and saying, this one's off by 0.5 millimeter. And it's like, yeah, it's, but I think the difference is like, we understand it. We understand where the passion comes from, and we're trying to make it work for everyone.
And Adin actually spoke well to that as well, from a real life perspective, as how you guys do it. And I think that's like all the difference in the world. And what's extra interesting to me about it all, particularly Dan, is that you guys are the biggest in Canada. Like, you could very well easily say, kiss my ass, bro. We're the biggest. Where else are you going to go, mate? Like, but you don't, and you fix it and you make it right. And then for Adin to, like, we had the podcast, just for transparency, like we had the podcast planned with you, and we were looking for a brewery partner, and you chose Adin, and we were like, fucking perfect. We had him on not that long ago, but Adin is responsible for the name of this pod, and he was on the regular one to have Hendo on, because it was a travesty that we hadn't had Henderson on the regular series. So this was so perfect. And then to get that firsthand perspective from somebody who is a customer, and this is not canned, this is not like hey, let's all fucking kiss, like this is just like real life shit. Like, is in this, like, I feel like if anyone knows Adin, I don't think I feel like you're the least bullshitting dude out there. Like, if you're not feeling something, you'll say it. So I feel like, you know, that is a real testament to what you guys are doing. And
it's a peek behind the curtain here, because it was legit a case. Like, Craig and I were texting each other when Dan made that suggestion. We were like, yes, like Adin would be fucking perfect for this. It's just a brilliant pairing for this conversation.
Yeah, but then also the actual experience behind it. So it's I'd like to hear, but
for me, it was, you know, when Craig and I first talked and we wanted to talk about glassware, and for me, it was kind of getting out the different ways that breweries can use glassware. Like for a lot of them, it's just an expense. It's, to Adin's point earlier, it's, I got to spend another $3 to get a glass and sell a beer. And is that really going to help me? I feel like there's a lot of different ways to use glassware and growlers and to get that brand out there. Obviously, Henderson has a really unique partnership with Rush that opens up all new doors that not every brewery has. But I feel like, you know, through all the different events, and that's kind of a question I had for Adin. Like, you guys throw all these different events at the brewery. You know, a lot of times we're providing a glass. You guys are kind of, I'm assuming, working that price into the ticket. So people are coming and they're going home with a glassware. Like, how do you guys see that help with events, or does it help with events? And, you know, this is just another different way to use glassware. It's as more than just an expense, and to bring people into the brewery.
Everybody likes a souvenir. Everybody likes a souvenir. And the difference with a t-shirt is, you know, I did something I said I would never do. And if you go to Henderson right now, although I took it out because we've got a couple of events this weekend, weddings and stuff, I actually have a bin of expired t-shirts and like triple XLs, quadruple XLs.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I was looking through it.
But I have like a bin of $5 and $10 t-shirts.
I love that.
A glass can be repurposed. People leave them behind. I think Zenan, I've asked a couple times for support, and they I think Dan and his team get it. So the first one we worked on together was beer and bourbon, and they came up with a fucking killer rocks glass. So beer and bourbon was a festival that drew about 800 or 900 people over 2 sessions, and it was
amazing.
Basically, we had 14 or 18 different bourbons, and you could try them and drink.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was a huge party, and we launched a couple it's April 26th. We've already landed on next year. But Dan came out with a glass. But here's what I'm going to say. I probably, he supported me with, maybe 1,200. And those 300 that are left are still in circulation at my brewery. So they could be a taster glass. They could be used for a wedding or something like that. And they got the Zenan thing. I'm very proud of that. So it's about the ability of understanding that they can put their logo on this. They can work with us. And you got to be careful. Like you got to be so careful in today's world of who the hell you work with and how that connects in the social media world. Like, it is, I'm going to cause fucking hell here, but the coaster is the stupidest fucking thing of all time. Okay. The coaster. I hate the coaster. The coaster is a fucking cost. Bars will not take you if they don't have a coaster. I don't even get it. I don't get the coaster. I've never got the coaster. The coaster gets ripped up. I've got this nervous energy. The coaster gets thrown in the garbage. The coaster doesn't get reused. When I used to work for Amstel, they actually had the brilliant idea to come up with a recyclable coaster that was basically the same shit as the bar mat, so it could go in the dishwasher. And then all the environmentalists complained that they were using all this plastic for a coaster. So a coaster is a sunken cost that breweries have to have, because certain places, if you don't supply a coaster, I'm not supporting you. A glass is a brand building connection opportunity, which really does talk about who you are, how you care about your beer, what you're trying to communicate in an intimate way with consumers, whether they're in the tap room, whether they're buying your beer at the LCBO, or whether they're in a great bar that you're really proud to partner with. And I think that is something that is important, is really important. Versus a coaster, fuck, man. I don't even know what is the use of a coaster over the table. Like, I've never understood the coaster. Like, honestly, there's an episode. What is the coaster? Like,
who makes coasters? Maybe we should get them on Explain.
Coaster World. They're down. Like, those guys really suffered during COVID. I don't want to talk about those guys, but yeah, glass is important. It's an identity. I think. Again, like lots of glass, half the breweries have the same glass, but there's ways to differentiate yourself with a logo and whether
and I feel like as far as like a giveaway or merch that someone will buy, like I said, I worked at Pepsi for 11 years. They launch 12 different new items, 20 different new items. They give you like the cheapest t-shirt they can get with the logo on it, the worst hat that you're never going to put on. Like, I prefer my hairline over every hat I ever got given at Pepsi. But if they gave you a glass, like, you were going to keep it, you were going to take it home. It was cheaper than the t-shirt and the hat and the stupid koozie or whatever it was. But, I understand it's an expense and it's $3 to $4. And if a brewery's buying 1,000 of them, it adds up really quickly, and the shipping has gotten crazy. But as far as like the perception, I feel like the dollar amount compared to the perception, I feel like the glass over delivers on the perception. And if you were going to give someone something that they were going to keep and not throw out when they got home, I feel like, I don't know that there's a better option than a glass.
That's the knowledge drop right there.
Yeah.
There are bars that like will say to you, if you don't give me coasters, I'm not keeping you on tap. And you can, if you have a good partnership, you can stick kind of around that. But if they say, I need your glass, and you say, I'm not giving you glassware, you're done, because it's important. It's a savings for licensees as well, obviously. But it also, like, there's still wonderful bars and pubs and beer bars that want to serve beer in the proper glass, and the proper glass is a branded glass that the brewery supports it with. So, and
if they want to do that, they want to take your product seriously. Like that, that should be respected.
Yep. So, can we go to best, because I'm thirsty and I missed Xanabrew.
Let's fucking go. Sorry, brother.
I missed the last one too. Then
I gotta say though, I feel the same way about koozies that Adin does about coasters. I fucking hate koozies so much.
The US loves them.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a more fucking useless bit of beer merch.
No, it's like, who wants it? Like, who needs it? Who actually uses it though? Like, people who drink Molson. Like, when the fuck are you gonna go and be like, I'm not gonna drink a damn Henderson Best from a koozie. I'm gonna put it into a glass and respect the fucking liquid.
Yeah, I still don't understand coasters. God, man.
So Nathan mentioned it. This is a Nonic. It's probably the most basic glass we have tonight. For sure, the most basic glass we have tonight. Does anyone know why it's called a Nonic? I feel like it has the most interesting story of all the glasses, even though it's the most basic.
I've never even heard that word until Nate said it.
Tell the story.
Well, I'm glad he said it. So the bulb in the top whatever third of the glass, the reason it exists is it was invented in the early 1900s. It was actually invented in the US, even though it's quite
British
popular in the UK.
No shit.
And the reason for it is when the glass tips over, the first thing that hits is the bulb and not the rim. So Nonic is actually no nick.
Oh,
if a shaker glass falls over, the first thing that's going to hit is this, and it's going to chip, and you're going to throw the glass out.
No nick.
Learning.
Basic, but it's got the most interesting story, I think. So I think it was invented in Chicago in like early 1900s, and then in the 40s, some European manufacturers started making it. These aren't technically stackable, to Aiden's point earlier, but a lot of breweries will stack, or bars will stack beers because they don't have the space. The bulge also makes it easily stackable, like a shaker glass with the condensation and the water. It's going to get stuck together. This bulge will give enough air that it doesn't get stuck together. So if you got a busy bar and a busy bartender, they're going to stack these and get them out, and it's not going to be an issue.
Interesting. And this one is a little smaller than the average one, I feel like.
This is a 16 ounce.
This is 16.
So we call that a 16-ounce glass, 14-ounce pour. That's what I have in my brewery.
Oh, because I got like a touch less in here. That feels about exactly right. I kind of like this one. This feels like the only word I can think of is cute compared to.
I'm off. I have to drink best in this because this is how I like best. Just as an FYI, plus I didn't drink Xanabrew, but it looks great, guys.
It looks very pubby, but like classy. I don't know why. I like this one a lot, as opposed to what's the one I hate called?
The shaker.
This doesn't piss me off at all. I don't know why, because you know why? Okay, do you know what I like about it? I've got a place to rest my thumb and middle finger there.
Okay, so it's ergonomic for you.
It's an ergonomic glassware, and it's like, I don't know, something about it isn't as dutty as like as it. And I feel like this is pubby. This is cute pubby, as opposed to why are you sending me this, blokes? Get it in you.
Cheers,
Nate,
boys.
Put that in your face hole.
Cheers.
If there's something I can say, I guess
say everything you want, Aiden.
The business of beer is, as a small business owner, treat your key suppliers with the same respect that you would expect to be treated, because they're also, when you have shitty times or got to stretch things, they're there for you. So
Big facts.
You can't ping and pong off other people. You got to treat certain suppliers and partners that are there with you for the long haul, and it's incredibly important. And I think it's nice that Dan welcomed me here, but we as I told you, we value Zenan as like I don't have a gold supplier, but they're one of the most important people out there, and those suppliers, if you're a small business who get your business, go the extra distance and help you become better, and that's the thing. Like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even recognize that you guys went the extra distance on the artwork here, and tomorrow I'm going to charge an extra $1 for this glass now, but otherwise it's important. And that's how this business of, small business associations and our industry go, because there's so many people who try and get in this, try and be suppliers, try and sell you all sorts of things that are just, unnecessary, and stick with, it's not always price. That's the most important thing. I guess that's also what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I think it gets lost too. Like, if we have issues with a beer or a glass with a client, and, they reach out and maybe they don't like the answer, and they're like, oh, like, how could you treat a small bit? Like, we're also a small business. And like, me and my partner are also, trying to make Zenan a place where people want to work. And, we have people that come in and work an hourly wage. And so it's kind of like, we understand it because we're also living it. And, maybe we're not as small as the smallest brewery, but in the grand scheme of things, like we're not a massive business that, we're disconnected from what's going on. So, we're trying to do our best to deliver. We're also trying to do our best for our customers. And that's the best way I can say it. But I have a lot of them reach out and be like, we're a small business. I'm like, we're also a small business. We're trying to make ends meet. We're watching our cash flow. We're watching different things too. So,
I like that message, like to respect the suppliers, particularly based, once again, we said this before, like Adin, you're giving examples of how Dan and his team have helped you like in a pinch and delivered, like Dan, you said you're coming in on a Sunday to deliver stuff, like going over and above, because that your clients are small businesses who need the support that they, any support that they can get, and you're delivering that. And the least you would hope is that there's a reciprocal respect where we're all like, look, man, this is a bit of a downturn in a, hopefully we're just going to swing back up. Like, it's just the way things have gone for the last whatever recorded history. So you know what, let's just fucking help each other out. Let's get through this and make it work. And it seems like, obviously, this example here between you guys, Henderson and Zenan, it's clearly a fantastic relationship. And I imagine this is one of many, 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 many relationships that you guys have that you're helping out. And I feel like this is part of like what this business of beer thing is all about. Like, showcasing these relationships that might not have fit into the regular podcast where we're just sort of like talking about a brewery or whatever. And like, I think it's extra interesting. Look, we've talked to yeast suppliers, we've talked to hop farms. Like, why wouldn't we talk to a glassware company that, and particularly in conjunction? I think these episodes are extra fun when we pair some people up. I think it's extra cool, and just to see these. And I feel like Adin, you really brought, like, this was great as far as like the idea of this whole thing, because it's sick to talk to Dan and to get all of this information about the glassware industry, but then you contextualize it.
Yeah.
Really
tie it back into the brewery side of things.
I can tell you honestly, in how long we've been with Zenan, I've never once asked for a cheaper price, because I know that I get a good price. I trust them, and I know that when I need them for 100 glasses to trial something, they're there for me. And so it's really important that it's not just a commodity. And, when I go to Naz or Dan and I say I need whatever, this is the glass I want, he gives me a price range. Like, he says, this is how much this glass costs. This is how much this glass costs. I say, basically the way it works is, we're launching a new Rush beer. I need a 12-ounce tulip glass. What do you have? And he'll give me 3 or 4 options of different
price ranges,
10.8, and it's up to me to pick. But at no point I've never once said to them, I need this glass at this price.
Right.
Because the other important thing to understand is that everybody needs to make money. Mm-hmm. And if I'm screwing Dan down on 10 cents so I can feel like I won a battle, like that's not a partnership. And I think especially in craft beer, where they're the biggest in Canada, but that doesn't mean a hell of a lot, right, Dan? Like, it's good to say, but also like you're still a small business meeting payroll, and so I just think that's important. And I think that's like, there's hop, there's malt, but the glassware, and POS, like there's when you go to buy a branded t-shirt, it's a commodity, and you put yourself out. And really, if I'm going to spend whatever, if I'm going to buy a Henderson branded t-shirt, which I can't give away, by the way, let's be honest, I sell a lot of Rush t-shirts, but very few people not called Henderson from Scotland, as I've said many times, are wearing a Henderson branded t-shirt. That's a commodity. Like, everybody's got a Gildan shirt, and it's how much can you put a Henderson logo on a Gildan shirt or a, whatever type of t-shirt. And then you're basically shopping around for the best price. But it's not, and it's not that way with glassware, which is how I view the Zenan partnership. It's the best service.
The best way I can say, like, I drove down to Henderson to drop these glasses off to Adin. I was in the plant earlier in the morning and saw we were printing some of these Rush glasses. And I was at the point where, like, hey, I'm leaving at 3:00 to drive down to Henderson. Are these glasses going to be done? Because I'll just throw them in my trunk and save these guys $60 on shipping, because I'm already going there. They weren't ready. They ended up shipping today.
Yeah.
But you know, that's my mindset. That's our sales team's mindset. The other thing we do is like, I'm on the Instagram. So Zenan didn't really have a social media presence previous. So I came in, all these breweries like live on Instagram, right? And I'm like, if all of our biggest clients live on Instagram, like we got to have a presence on Instagram. You know, we have such a visual product that's so cool that everyone likes to see. Like, why aren't we showcasing it?
That's such an important realization.
Like,
that's so huge.
Like, how can you make glassware and not have like a presence and show it off and something that's so cool that people love to see? So, you know, I don't know if, like, I know you guys follow our Instagram now. Like previously it was really nothing. Right. So we have a company now that we work with. We film videos, we put it out. We want to show, you know, behind the scenes, the people that work for us, the people that are behind the glassware that these people are buying. We want to showcase our clients and like promote their events and promote this and that. I'm on Zenan's Instagram 100% more than I'm on my own Instagram. Like, I don't even know how often I switch over to my Instagram now. But all I see is like, hey, this brewery has an anniversary party coming up in 2 weeks. Like, if my sales team is managing an account and they're not throwing in 24 extra glasses with like the logo and then like happy 20th anniversary or whatever it is, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, I love that. It doesn't, it's not a huge expense. It shows that we care. It shows that we know what's going on. Like, Aiden, if you guys have an anniversary and Naz doesn't give you guys some extra glasses that say happy 20th, like send me an email and I'll ask them what the hell's going on.
I'll take them in Pickle Fest tickets. Don't worry.
Yeah. So it's like, it's such a small thing, but it just shows like you're in tune. You understand.
Well, tell you Craig, where are you going tomorrow? Tell Craig where you're going tomorrow.
Tell me where.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm going to Slepnik Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going there. Okay. I thought about that.
Yeah. Like, there's not going to be a lot of suppliers there. Like, that says a lot. You know what I mean?
But that's also like, I love beer and I listened to your guys' podcast with Ben and I heard the story about the barrels and I've drank 1,000 Pilsner Urquells and like, I want to.
Have you had it?
Pilsner Urquell, I've had it. I haven't had the Slepnik from the barrel. So that's why I have to go. And I got 12 friends coming with me that are, hey, let's go get beers after work. I know a place where we can get a great beer. And they're like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. See, that's what the fuck it is.
Yeah. So bro, I got to come back to something that you said earlier. And because you were talking about how when you and your partner took over, kind of bringing a bit more of a corporate approach to Zenan and whatnot. And I know what you mean in terms of like bringing efficiencies and whatnot. But when you talk about when you talk about a corporate approach, that has a lot of implications that come along with it. But hearing everything that you've said about how you work with places like Henderson and all of the other partners that you have with with how you're doing things like small orders for things like festivals, or like, hey, we've got this thing we need, we need an order of 36 glasses, and that you're able to fulfill on short notice. None of that screams corporate to me, man. That is like, you are a partner to small business here. That is deep and that is personal, and none of that screams corporate to me. That is like, you are supporting small local business here. Like, you are a partner. Like, you're not it's exactly like what Aiden was saying earlier. You're not just a vendor, you're a partner. You're really you're helping these businesses out big time. And none of that is corporate to me. Like you are a part of this culture here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because that's the legacy that I want Zenan to have. And when I say corporate, like anything we can do internally, like the way I buy glassware, you know, if I can buy more and get a cheaper price, that means I can offer a cheaper price. So I think most of the corporate stuff we're doing is not seen, but maybe it's felt. Like,
right,
we have so much inventory that was bought just willy-nilly, like, oh, everyone's going to want this glass, so I'm going to buy 100,000 of them. And now I've got 98,000 left.
By the way, this is arguably the most useless craft beer glass out in the market. It is fucking too big. It is heavy. It is not dishwasher friendly.
I kind of like it.
And like you say, it's tailored to the 7 people who are buying Rube Goldbeer.
This is fucking Thor when he goes back to NASCAR or whatever, and he pulls out his fucking chalice.
So what drinks craft beer?
That is,
it's
you're not. I don't even know who, except for 5 bars Village Idiot and 5 bars in Ontario. Nobody wants that glass.
Yeah, so it's the way we buy glassware because we know it's going to help the client. It's the way we price glassware. Like 5 years ago, if Adin emailed 6 different people at Zenan and asked them what's the price of this glass with 2 logos on it, he would have got 6 different answers.
That's weird.
So that's where it's like, okay, we have like a pricing scheme. We have, how do I buy glasses? When do I buy glasses? How many do I buy? Optimizing our inventory. Like we have $2.3 million in inventory. 2 years ago, we had $3.6 million in inventory. It's just not useful. But if we get that down, that turns into cash flow. We can have a better turning inventory and offer better prices and stuff like that. So I think the efficiencies that we found with that corporate mindset are more internal. Understanding who our client is, also probably a little corporate, but then applying that definitely more partnership. Like we showed up to the first Ontario Craft Brewery Show, and I've been to 1,000 trade shows with Pepsi in like button-up shirt, dress pants. We showed up and I was like, we are never coming to this show again dressed like this. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like, we look so out of touch. Like, I had people in like suit jackets and like, someone's walking up in a t-shirt, flannel jacket, a beard, backwards hat, and they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, we are never coming back here like this again. And we never did. But I had to understand that and see what was going on. And I guess that's where I'm saying it's like a corporate look, but how do we make it like a small business, like partnership feel?
And that's where it comes, like it's cultural with craft beer. Like there's like every time we go anywhere, like if people like say, if we're bringing some people to a beer event, they're like, what should I dress? I'm like, wear your pajamas, bro. It's good. Like don't nobody give a fuck.
And I think more than anything else, wear comfortable shoes. Jesus Christ.
Comfortable shoes, wear your brewery t-shirts, wear all the fun stuff. Like it's kind of cool because the beer culture, craft beer culture is very down to earth. I don't know about the macro beer and stuff. I can't speak to that, but like the craft beer is down to earth. So there is something to that, and it's cool that you guys coming from that. I think there's something to be said, like even like Adin, you came from Sleeman. We went there recently because we're doing an event with the Guelph folks next Sunday, and one of them's going past there. The Guelph.beer thing. We're doing a thing for Link Up, and Sleeman's a big part of that, and they're really a big part of the Guelph beer community, and that's a big corporate macro brewery. But it's cool that if any brewer or anyone in beer came from that and then goes to craft beer, I feel like it's valuable to understand both. So Dan, you came from Pepsi and then coming into beer and you're like, oh, I can't wear this fucking like suit and slacks or shirt and slacks to this event because it's it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't resonate with the crowd. And the thing is, you are that dude. Like Dan, not Dan from Pepsi, like Dan is that fucking guy. Like you are from that, and you maybe had to just really, all right, cool. And now you know what's up. And now you're getting all of these personal relationships with all of these people. And it's cool because I feel like I bet you every single glass that probably Nate and I, and probably Adin too, to have in I got a whole bunch of glasses in boxes because I need shelves down fucking here in the basement, and I got a bunch upstairs as well. Like I bet you Zenan did probably 90% of them shits. Maybe more.
Yeah, and it's also how can I say this? I don't know if I'm on the normal scale, but like high functioning ADHD, I don't have time for bullshit.
Yeah,
like I want an email, I want it delivered. I need to deal with people who understand what I want, and like that's Zenan. There's a few suppliers that have always just dealt with that. It's like I don't need to you don't need to come down and book a meeting with me. Like it's I'll see you socially when I see you, or and like Dan came to Beer and Bourbon. There was about 6 of them, and that meant the world to have the Zenan team at one of my events. Like That wasn't just like, you know, a sponsorship thing. They were there and they were proud. And in fairness, for me, the big win was that like I delivered on what I said I was going to, and they could look around and see 800 key demographic people drinking a bourbon or a beer, like a, you know, bourbon aged beer with their with their logo on it. So it was, you know, I delivered on what I said to do with my partnership. And, you know, I can't tell you how many people approach probably every craft brewer in the province wanting to book a meeting to sell something. And it's like, you know, just cut to it. I don't have time to meet for 2 hours for you to tell your boss that you met with Henderson and you pitched him on, I don't know, fucking no insurance. Like,
yeah,
that's like corporate shit. That's that corporate shit, because we're social. My girlfriend and I run a social media agency. Like, it's our own thing. We have very trillion-dollar corporate clients, and we've had like the way the people who are our clients, they're employees at these companies. You know what employees need to do? Make their fucking voice heard. Say they had a meeting. Say they did this. And it's all a circle jerk. It's bullshit. It's a meeting about a meeting about a meeting every single fucking time. Like and there's nothing wrong with being an employee. I've been an employee most of my life. So it's the problem is the corporate expectations of people that you have to make your voice heard, and you have these meetings where everyone has to say something, and now it complicates it. Now there's 27 chefs in the kitchen and everything's over the top, and it doesn't need to be. It's just like, you guys could meet up at a beer festival, like, bro, I need this. I'm like, yeah, bro, I got you, easy, no worries, boom, done.
Well, and we don't have purchasing departments. We don't have people who pay their schedules by, you know, pay their salaries by, you know, if you're buying $10 million in shit a year and you can save 10%, then that pays more than the salary. But like, we don't have purchasing departments, and craft breweries view, you know, we just don't have time, or we don't have the ability to view a 20-cent savings on a glass as value to have 5 more meetings.
Facts. Because you got actual shit to do.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are impressed the boss, and they need to be seen to be in meetings. So honestly, me and my girl talk about this almost every day. It's like a bit of a pet peeve, because it's like it's just the corporate, culture. It's the way that you know, like, even when I worked at a bank in Australia, and like, because I left at 4:58, like right on 5 o'clock, but everyone else stayed, and I got there at 9 a.m. like on the dot. Like, I'm not a very good employee. I'm good at everything, like being my own boss, but I'm not very good at being an employee. And I could just feel like I didn't like it. Just everyone did this expectation to stay back for what? What if you didn't have that much shit to do, but you had to stay back because you want the boss to see you stay back? That's the same as like have the meeting about the meeting. It's just all like a wank, and it's just more like, bro, like the economy's fucked. Everything's a little rough right now. Like, let's be efficient. Let's get this done. We need this. Can you do this? Hell yeah, let's go. And I feel like that needs to be encouraged for teams more than look like, you know, make it look that you're doing something valuable or good or whatever it is. Just get shit done. Are you getting shit done? Sweet, no worries. Then if you can get shit done, you can be out by 3 p.m. and it's not a problem. Like, it's, you know,
we wake up to, you know, I don't know. Did I ever talk to you guys about Mark Brown? Do you guys get the Mark Brown email? You should sign up to Mark Brown of Sazerac. Mark Brown, this is like the best advice I can give you today. It is the best fucking thing I get. And the email, you got to email this guy, and it's mbrown@sazerac.com. He's the managing partner of Sazerac.
Like the bourbon?
On the daily email every day at 4 a.m. our time. There is he's a collator, right? So he takes all the stories from around the world about beverage alcohol, but he'll talk about craft brewers closing. He'll talk about.
Oh, he's from Buffalo Trace. He's from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. Sazerac. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro.
This is your so he draws from 100 different sources. He talks about the National Wholesaler Breweries Association. He talks about how Hardy's Wine is doing in Australia. I wake up, I read this. So, you know, he'll talk about trends, and most of it is U.S. skewed, okay? But even today's article had a thing about Ontario on-premise in Canada, how younger people are still veering towards drinking beer in draft versus cans. And it's, like I said, he may have a few things, but it's all articles. We all wake up at, whether it's Dan at 4 a.m. or you know, I wake up at 7:30, we turn our phones on, and it's fucking Americans eating dogs. Is fucking Trudeau fighting this? And then you put on the industry stuff, and none of the industry news is good. It's like 10% of restaurants in the States are closing. Fucking craft beer sales are down 15%. Like, we need positives to the point where it's almost best not to turn our phones on in the morning and read the fucking news. Even the Star is like stabbing on the subway, or the title today was like, I was drunk, I didn't mean to burn my girlfriend on fire. All I'm trying to say is that, like, and Craig, to your point, things will turn around. We're in a weird cycle. Craft beer is meant to be fun, it's meant to be enjoyable. That's why we all joined it. It's a grind. There's ways through it, and you don't fuck over your partners. You value your partners, whether it's the bloggers, whether it's the fucking, sorry, not to say the fucking, but it's whether it's Zenan, whether it's like, and you have to, nobody's flush with cash. So you got to be able to make your right decisions of who you pay, when you pay. But there's certain people that you look after, because when it comes back to it, they'll look after you. And that's the important thing about this industry, which I think we've gotten away from because we're all struggling, and the corner store thing, which is a whole other episode, which won't involve me, by the way. But like, it's important. I'm not trying to be like kumbaya, but it's important because it's hard, and there's beer stores shutting. Like, it's just a fucked up time, and we'll get through it. But it's leaning on your partners and knowing who you can support and who you can talk to openly, and who gets it. Who gets it is who's going to get through this.
I love that. That is so well said.
God damn.
That's brilliant. How about we take a quick pause, have a quick bathroom break, and then we'll bring this bad boy home. Is that cool?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful. Figured as much. All right. All righty, guys.
And we're back.
So with all of this, I feel like we've really touched on how, a lot of information about sort of how Glassware works with beer and basically anybody, licensees as well. We got a lot into the Hendo beers. Obviously, we got the Ides 100 here, which we're extraordinarily grateful for. Pairing these glasses with the beers and getting really deep into that, and the importance of partnerships in specifically the craft beer industry, and how businesses should work together and can work together to create the ultimate outcome that everybody wins from and continues to win from, particularly in this sort of interesting cycle that we're in now. And I feel like there's been a lot of gems that you both have dropped that a lot of different companies in different areas of craft beer, whether it's breweries themselves or anything surrounding beer. There's so many different things, whether it's canning or the ingredients or anything can take from that and just be like, all right, value your partners. I think that's just such a phenomenal message that is simple but so important and maybe underrepresented, perhaps. We really appreciate you both for taking the time to do. I mean, obviously, Adin for getting all these phenomenal beers, and particularly their number 100 right here, and Dan for putting these glasses together that just like showcase the different things that Zenan can do, and obviously giving BAOS our first ever, whether obviously it's just for us right here, but obviously if people are interested in these glasses, this is something that we can do. So if anyone is interested, comment, DM, let us know, and then we can talk to Dan and we can make some stuff happen. But is there anything we want to finish up on? Is there any like final message you guys want to leave to the people, and or do you feel like we kind of said it all?
Take it away, Dan.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the way this came up is like I found you guys as a podcast, and I was so intrigued to work with these craft breweries. Like, I don't get a lot of time to hear 3-hour conversations about what the brewery's about, how it got started, what's important to them. So I was saying to Nate, like, when I found you guys, like, I was ripping off like 2 episodes a day. Like, I was like, I want to learn about this brewery. I know we work with these guys. We don't work with these guys. Like, what are they about? What can I learn about them? And then, just reaching out to you, Craig, and like having like an organic conversation. And you were worried about our minimum orders and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, like,
I feel so much better about it because of that conversation.
I was like, listen, like, I'm not looking to make $1 million off doing a glass for you guys. It's more so like, you know, and I remember Adin, and I listened to his first episode with you guys, and all the breweries are so appreciative of what you guys do. And for me, even to just now be part of this podcast and thought about in like that same light, like for me, it's like what I want Zenan to be. So it's awesome for me. I love working with these partners. I just want people to know, like, we understand the passion that's behind the beer. And we're doing our best to kind of deliver. There's 3 things you can deliver on, right? Like it's service, it's price, and it's what's the third one? Service, price. And yeah, and like most people say you can only deliver on 2 of them. We're trying our best to deliver on all 3. It's quality, service, and price. Like everyone says you got to pick 2 of them. We're doing our best to deliver on all 3. And you know, we understand we understand the cost of everything is going up. So if you only have so much to work on glass, shipping has gone crazy. You know, we ship across the country. Shipping glassware from here to Kelowna, BC is super expensive. You know, it's super tough. So we try to do our best. We try to buy the right way. We try to decorate efficiently so that we can try to save a few pennies, because we know at the end of the day, it all adds up. So appreciate you guys having me on. Like, it's an honor for me to like sit here with you guys and talk about this. And yeah, it's been great.
Good champion.
Okay. I'm turning 50 this year, so actually next month. And when I started out this business, I tried to get my hands on every fucking book there was. Steve Hindy's, you know, starting Brooklyn Brewery, Sam Calione starting Dogfish Head, to, you know, the history of the Fuller's family. And I do think that there is a gap in Ontario and Canada to talk about the business of beer. And it's not being at a trade show where there's 6 reps talking about their challenge selling their IPA to a bar owner. It's about sort of the nuts and bolts and the relationships and stuff. And I do feel that you guys are killing it. And this is not only can Dan listen to the histories of the breweries, but it's about other people being able to listen to the struggles and challenges, and this ties into partnerships. And that's really what I want to stress about this to you guys, is essentially journalists. To be honest, we talk about beer and stuff, but what really you guys are as journalists is that select, you know, if you're building a brewery, you have a brewery, you are an existing brewery, your partnerships are key. Don't try and fuck them over 10%, because it'll come back to bite you in the ass. They're trying to make money. Everybody needs to make money in the entire value chain. And if you look after your key partners, now there are other partners that, you know, you're buying a commodity and 10 cents on a widget matters, but 10 cents on a widget to a key partner who's there for you during the shit and came through COVID with you, if you've been around that long, will come back 5 or 10 times more value down the road. And I think that's really what I want to stress. And I didn't ask myself to be on the show. Dan asked me, asked you guys and stuff like that. So it's a pleasure as always. But that's what I want to stress is that partnerships, whether they're your licensees, whether they're your suppliers, whether they're your, you know, neighbors, you know, your partnerships could be with your neighbors. I mean, certainly Henderson's all about community, but that stuff will keep you going through the hard times. And it's not always about trying to come out ahead. That's really what I want to stress in all this business of beer stuff. Anybody can fucking screw somebody down by 10 cents, but I don't know, I have this tendency to talk in circles, but that's what I want to stress. So I respect you guys are doing this. It's about the beer, but I really did feel, and you guys are delivering on it, that there's an opportunity here for people who may want to start a brewery or struggling or whatever, talk about the business of beer. And it's about having, you know, the suppliers and partnerships and guys like you asking the right questions. So that's where I'm going to finish this fucking thing.
Hell yeah, man. Honestly, you guys are fucking champions, man. Like, honestly, thank you both immensely for this. Like, Dan, once again, you went over and above. This is unheard of. Never seen anything like this before anywhere. As far as all of this glassware is so dope. And Adin, thank you for dropping the gems and providing context with everything here, and just for being just such a champion of everything craft beer, and also for naming this goddamn series, which is very, like, I could say this is our favorite thing to do right now. There's only 7 episodes into this series, and we've got so many ideas. A lot of them were provided by you in the beginning, and
what does convenience stores actually mean to craft brewers? I don't want to be part of it, but there's a whole fucking thing there, guys.
You're right. You're right.
I was texting with a brewery today, and I'll tell you all off air, and he was explaining how it works to me, and it just sounds like such a wank, like such a bullshit thing. So if it is what I think it is, yes, I definitely would love to do that in detail. But guys, we'll wrap this up. Stick around at the end. We'll just quickly finish up. But Dan and Aiden, guys, thank you once again. Like this has been fantastic. I think this is one of the best pods of the year as far as like the gems that were dropped here and just the information and just like how this was fucking fantastic. And we're extremely grateful for you both for taking the time and just it's not even just the time, it's like the energy and the effort that you gone. Obviously, Dan, you've hand labeled these goddamn glasses and Aiden made sure all of this through all of your crazy rush day and all of the festivals to make sure.
What can I say?
Well, don't worry about it. Trust me, my mic didn't work properly, so here we are. Don't worry, shit fucks up. It's a part of the game, but we get it done. That's what it is. We keep pushing. We get it done. We make it work. That's what craft beer is, and I really think that's the ethos of this whole thing. So,
just before you wrap up, really appreciate you guys so much, and I swear we're not paying Aiden per mention of the of the business of beer. We're not paying.
Not yet.
No, but
no,
not yet.
No. I'm just fucking around, but like truly, we appreciate you guys so much, and I swear this is one of my favorite episodes of the year that we've done so far. Like this has been such a genuine pleasure. Like to really dig deep on what partnerships in beer really mean to the individual breweries and kind of what that looks like to the consumer at the end of the day is the kind of insight that you really don't get without these conversations. And we really appreciate you guys just kind of being open about about how that comes about and what that really looks like. I think this kind of information is invaluable to the people who consume the product and to anyone who to anyone who aspires to producing the product for that matter as well. So we appreciate both your time and the insight that you provide on this.
Well said.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Fantastic. Dan, where can everyone find Zenan online and in real life if that's a necessary thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to visit us, we're kind of Dufferin and Steels. Let me know. We got a big showroom. Aiden mentioned it. There's a hallway of glassware. You can come check it out. There's decades of different glassware we got there. Website zenan.ca and on Instagram zenanglass.
Yes, make sure you follow. It's cool now. I love that, and I love that that's how we connected. And I love that that's where you guys are putting a lot of energy into really doing that. And I feel like most people will probably be surprised of how much the percentage of their glassware collection that is provided by you guys. So I think that is super cool. I love it. Uncle Aiden, where can everyone find Hendo online and
we are 3 weeks away from October 5th and 6th, Canada's largest pickle festival. So if there's anything
pickle gang
plug, I can announce that Pickle Fest is 3 weeks away. Henderson is going strong.
Did we do amazing?
We're located at 128 Sterling Road, and I'm just happy to be part of this, guys. I really do enjoy this. It's funny. I at the end of the day, I was like, "How the fuck are we going to talk for 3 hours about glassware?" But we did it. So
3.5.
It's easy. Yeah. It's easy.
I guess so. So we're at Henderson Brewing. It's our Instagram. And we also have Pickle Fest Canada. So thank you as always, guys.
It's such a pleasure.
Appreciate you guys.
Guys, stick around. We're going to wrap this up off air. But such a pleasure. It's phenomenal. Guys, make sure you go check everybody out. And thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell, Nathaniel.
Ding.
So you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. You like that? He does the ding. He gets the bell. He does the ding. Nate holds me down every time. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast, at Nathan Does Beer. We drop in every week. 5 stars on Spotify, particularly for Dan and Aiden. Come on, give them an Apple Music, Apple Podcast, where the fuck it's called. Do it there. And folks, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.